Oh, and speaking of Jews, Rich Voss is here. Very cool.
Oh, good.
Oh, Voss is getting his teeth yanked out today.
Oh, I hope it's by way of fist.
He's going to attempt to fix his mouth again.
Little stammer.
A tremendous stammer. I had 5 ways to get to a joke that should have just been left alone to begin with. Boy, talk about rushing into an empty room. I'm here. Nothing.
I guess Voss is going to get all his teeth pulled today. And we're going to try, because we're sending a couple camera guys, and we're going to try to have Voss do some of his act with no teeth before they start, implanting the new ones.
Gotta hear that.
That would be pretty funny, I'm thinking. All right, Opie and Anthony, stay there. You're checking out the Opie and Anthony Show. A busy one today for a Monday. Cheech and Chong coming in here in a little while?
Yeah, in about an hour.
Nice. Also, Rich Voss has entered the studio.
Yes.
Rich is going to be at the Funny Bone in Virginia Beach, October 22nd through the 26th. Wow. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Wednesday through Sunday.
Wow. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I do a lot of nights when I work for those people.
That's a long haul. Go to vabeachfunnybone.com.
That'll be nice.
And you're getting your teeth pulled today?
Yeah, I'm getting... Not only am I getting 4 or 5 pulled, then they're going to drill through the gums into the bone and put in implants, okay? And then hopefully and then I have to perform Wednesday night. Oh, I already slobber, okay?
So do you? We never noticed.
So now I'm scared I'm going to slobber and just metal's going to come flying out of my mouth. And, just broken gum parts and horrible. Like, it already bleeds sometimes when I brush my teeth without even the work done.
Really?
So, yeah. Does that happen to you?
No, that's going to be that's
Well,
bad.
the problem is you're brushing too hard, probably, and you got to stop holding the guy's hips while you do it.
Why are you getting this done?
Why?
What's wrong with the teeth? What's wrong with the teeth you got? They chew pretty good.
Because it's like
Sizer.
it's like my 4th set. Because I had bridges, and what was holding them up, the teeth under it, they were starting to get rotten. I had bad teeth from a certain age, from cocaine till now. And, I used to have these I had a big gap in my teeth.
We've seen the old videos.
But I had tooth decay in the middle of the gap. So I had a big black...
What'd you snort the coke off of? Snickers bars? But
I still would pick up girls with just rotten teeth.
Well, of course, because you had the whore bait.
Yeah, I had. It was in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
So wait, you have to get... Why are you doing a gig 2 days after? Why not separate, give yourself a week off? Why are you doing a gig 2 days after?
One, I'm...
Bonnie made
I booked the gig first before I got the dentist appointment. Mm-hmm. 2, I need money. 3, what the hell? I did a TV show. They pulled a tooth once or did root canal, and it got infected, and it was all full of pus. And I went to the dentist that day, and they squeezed the pus out with a plier. They took a plier and just squeezed, and then I taped a TV show that night. So what the hell? Okay. We do comedy. We're not, performing.
Right, we do it in our mouths to talk. Yeah, really. It would be bad if we were sketch artists. But the thing is, we chat for a living. It's kind of hard when you're bleeding and swollen from the gums and face.
So I'll do it with my back to the audience. It's no big deal.
So you're gonna you're gonna allow us to videotape while they pull these teeth out of your mouth?
Yes, I am. Dr. Gottsman today is going to do the work today.
Can you do some of your classic comedy? Some of those classic lines we recite all the time without your teeth.
All right.
Without his teeth.
That would be pretty good.
It's Rich Voss without his teeth performing.
I noticed you had mentioned the dentist, so why don't you mention him again?
Who, Gottsman? Did I mention him?
Because I know what you're getting at, and I don't blame you.
No.
Might get one of the teeth pulled for free, you Jew.
So wait, you're going today? Now is after Gottsman, who's obviously your favorite dentist? After he pulls, is he pulling? Believe me,
I've never felt sorry for a dentist before.
I wish Voss was going to see Zell.
Zell.
Discomfort, relief.
We try to pull one of them out right now with like pliers. Just for the radio show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, knowing you're going to a
when
real
you get
dentist.
Mengele to do it.
Wow, that would hurt.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do afterwards? You having fake ones put in, or how is?
What am I doing afterwards?
Meaning,
I'm just going to linger around the dentist office for a while.
They're drilling into the bone and gums, and they're putting an anchor?
No. I don't know. You put in. Okay, so say you get implants, they screw them in or somehow.
Right
they put them in. So they're going to put like something with a thread in it. Like say like you took a little pipe or something and had threads in it to put your teeth into. Whatever. Implants.
Not describe things.
Well, I don't know implants.
Well, this is a process, a procedure you're going to have.
Oh, if you went and got a hip replacement, would you know what the metal was made out of?
He would, yes.
Yeah, probably.
Titanium.
Everyone knows.
Okay.
Titanium. You picked the worst example. That one is like actually easy.
Exactly.
Okay.
They were getting a haircut. Would you know what they were cutting? Hair.
They put implants in, whatever. They're anchors to put the studs in, I guess.
Kind of like putting fence posts in.
Yeah.
As if enough studs haven't been in that mouth already.
You're going to drill some holes, and they're going to anchor it down with some kind of like bonding material, and you're going to have teeth that might look normal for once.
But will he have them that day, though? Because you're doing a gig in 2 days. Will he have teeth?
I think so.
I'll have this. They'll put this back.
Oh.
This is all fake, and they'll take it out.
Oh, really?
And they'll
It
put
is
it back
fake?
in.
Oh, wait. They're going to use those still?
These are temporary.
Uh-huh.
They made these up.
Oh.
Holtzman, the other dentist, made these up. He does the fine
Well,
work.
where are the ones that you had?
They cut them up in pieces and ripped them out.
They
I sold them as it's like scrap porcelain.
Somebody's using them as pillows right now.
Heat tiles on the shuttle.
Yeah. See, that's the joke, Rich. What? Heat tiles on the shuttle, not pillows. Who would want to lie on a hard pillow like that?
I don't know.
I know.
Jesus.
Hard pillow.
All right.
Rich.
Rich, we're going to move on. We got, you can help us with this because we got intern David. He's going to do a little kosher sports.
Oh, boss.
We like our intern David.
Here he comes.
It's time for Kosher Sports with our host, Intern David.
Hello, David.
David.
Is that Natterman's brother?
David, hello.
Hello.
Morning, Dave.
How are you?
Hello, David.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Are we done with the what was it the we forgot the holiday.
Sukkot.
Sukkot.
Is Sukkot done?
Sukkot.
No, it's not done.
When is it done? I got to go to that place to get a camera.
It's done. Well, the high holidays are going to be ending Wednesday at night. Wednesday at sundown, the high holidays are going to be ending.
High holidays.
That's where they build the house, a little house.
Well, it's
Yes.
it's supposed to be a tent, but they're cheating.
Yeah.
They're making it a little warmer and a little more.
A kibbutz.
No,
What are they-
kibbutz is a farm that you work
You work on in Israel,
Kaput.
yeah.
Okay.
What
It's a
is it
little
called
house
then?
A kibbutz. The thing is called sukkah.
Yeah.
Sukkah.
Yes.
Yes, a sukkah. Well, I know.
My grandfather, he rented his out.
Did he?
What is sukkah about? What do you do?
Subway.
What's the purpose of sukkah?
The purpose of Sukkot is
Have an
to
orgasm.
remember the feast, like the harvest and the fruit, all the fruits, and harvesting the fruits.
And
What was the thing of the tabernacles?
and
Yeah,
your
Feast of the Tabernacles.
knuckles.
Are you Orthodox?
No, I'm not Orthodox.
How do you know so much about this?
I know.
Described basically what the holiday is. That's not exactly in-depth
I bet it's a
knowledge.
dumb holiday. Jews have like 4,000 holidays.
You can
That's
describe
like,
Christmas. Ooh, what are you, some kind of priest?
Yeah.
Almighty, who are you? Pontius Pilate?
David kind of knows about the Jewish heritage, and but people call up and correct him all the time. Like rabbis call up and go, "He's full of crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about." But then they just repeat what he said. So I kind of have faith in his faith.
I think he's onto something. You got this one right. What's the next Jewish holiday after this?
Yeah.
Well, this technically Sukkot and Tuesday night at sundown, but then Wednesday's a different holiday.
What's up with you guys?
What?
what is it? Purim, right?
No, Purim's not until April.
Oh,
Still
sorry.
March.
All right, what's the next holiday we have?
On
to do,
Wednesday
Rich?
ends the high holidays with the final holiday.
And what's that?
It's called Simchat Torah.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, that's the wild
What
one.
is that?
That's the wild one. It's one where you dance. You dance in the street. You carry a Torah and dance around in the street with the Torah and dance in the streets.
Really?
That sounds really fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Bunch of zealots.
Because now you're celebrating the fact that the suffering is over.
Sounds like Freaknik without the
that's
gunfire.
Not, no, it has nothing to do with that. No.
No?
No.
What is it? What is it?
It's celebrating the fact that
you
it's celebrating
suffered?
the fact that for the Jewish religion, every Saturday when you go to temple, you read the next chapter in the Torah. So on Simchat Torah, you finish reading the Torah and then you start reading it all over again from the beginning.
Is it that
celebrate
good?
reading
Is
it
it a
every-
good second read?
So you're celebrating that you're starting to read the
stand
Torah
was
all over
long.
again from the beginning.
He, He's so Jewish. You know when you go to those like white supremacy gun ranges, this is the face that would be on
He's
the target.
Wait a minute. Why are they dancing around with raw sushi?
Who said raw sushi?
I did, and I'll tell you who also wishes he didn't say it. Oh boy!
Yeah.
And because you're commemorating that you're reading the Torah from the beginning, you're happy about the Torah. So they go in the streets and they dance around. They have big parties.
But
dancing
are
with
you
Torahs.
really happy that you're reading it again?
Yeah, boo.
I'm happy. I'm sure happy about it. That's why I go around and dance around with the Torah. I'm sure happy.
Are you?
Most people are not happy they have to read the Torah. Most people aren't happy they have to read the Bible.
Or carry the
There's no-
Torah. They're pretty big.
But at
right.
night they
Scroll
they
thing.
run around the towns and dance in the middle of the street.
How many times do you have to read the Torah?
How many times?
You have to read it every year?
So that's at
Yeah,
like
you keep
once a
reading
year
it.
at
You read
least.
it every Saturday. You have to read the next chapter every Saturday.
Can you get
Well,
it
you
on
know
tape?
what's coming.
So if you live to be 70 something, you've had to read that damn thing over 70 times.
Well, you go to temple. If you go to temple every Saturday, you hear it all the time and all the time. So this holiday celebrates that it's over and you're reading it again from the beginning all over again.
Yuck.
You went
Yep.
to yeshiva, didn't you, as a kid?
Not a yeshiva, but a conservative Jewish school.
Yeah, he knows too much for like the average
They
Jew.
should
walking
write
the
or
street.
punch it up
But
or
after,
something. So
but after
it's
you
a
dance
little
with the
different.
but after you dance with the Torah and you finish and then Wednesday night it's over. The high holidays are over and there's no Jewish holiday for a few months.
What do
few
you do
months.
after you dance with the Torah? Do you just put it back?
Yeah, you put it
Dance
back.
with it.
You put it back, and then next morning you read it from the beginning. It's like a big celebration because it's the first chapter in the Torah.
Then you
That's not
invest-
fun, though.
They make it fun. Like they celebrate and they dance
David.
and they have a good time.
Are there hookers?
No, there's no hookers.
It's not fun.
Jimmy, they're changing the holiday though this year. Instead of going back and starting over with the Torah, they're insisting all Jews read Jim Norton's "I Hate Your Guts"
Oh, right.
from beginning to end.
They're going to read that in all the temples?
Yes, every Saturday will be another chapter of Jim Norton's book,
Oh, what the-
"I Hate Your Guts."
What are they going to do when they finish it? Read it all over again?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Dance in the streets with gentlemen who use duct tape to tuck.
And they're going to dance in the street holding Jimmy's book?
Dance
Yes.
with the granny. Yes.
Yes, that's what's
They all
gonna
get
happen.
I have
chased.
an interesting side note about Jimmy's book.
Oh, a little
Oh,
side
do ya?
note.
Yes, a side note. When I go to Starbucks to get the coffees and the lattes, the guy at the front counter was like going crazy. He's like, "Do you get that stuff for Jimmy Norton?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, I love Jimmy Norton. I'm his biggest fan. I'm reading his book right now. I want his autograph. I love Jimmy Norton."
That's the first book. That's the second one's not out yet.
Right. The guy was raving. He wants your autograph. The guy at Starbucks.
But don't
Thank you.
Don't ever admit that that's what you're doing because now I feel like Jimmy's going to have MRSA. Maybe it's a
Oh,
guy
God, it
that
might-
just want to make sure he's going to get the MRSA to the right
Squeeze
guy.
some MRSA
I don't
pus
know.
in your
Right.
beverage.
Instead of creamer, here's some
Ugh.
MRSA.
I told him I put in a word for him.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
I'll sign something you can give him.
Okay.
Is that a Jewish holiday, MRSA?
No, that's a virus.
That's right.
Oh, good,
well.
okay.
That's where you dance around with a gaping wound and you hold it up.
Yeah, hold up. You hold up.
Celebrate the wound
Yeah.
You put
Hold
a,
up a
you put a
pimple full of pus.
yarmulke. You put a yarmulke over the sore.
over each hole in your body.
Everybody holds their wives up.
Girls coming from the sore.
Right.
The sore raises the rent of other sores.
I want to talk to Hasidic girls, women. I want to ask them, and I want them to be honest if the curly fry look is actually
The
like
payas.
if it's a turn on or not.
Okay.
I really want one
Maybe
Hasidic
one of them will
woman
call up.
to call and go and tell me that really is attractive to them
Okay.
as they're trying to look for a mate.
Maybe they'll call up.
Do you eat kosher?
Sort of.
What, you don't put cheese on pork? What do you mean?
I don't eat pork at all.
No.
Never. I've never had it in my life.
I just
Jimmy
don't
wishes
dig
he
on
could say
swine.
that.
And I don't eat cheese and meat either. No.
What about shellfish?
No, never.
You wouldn't have a lobster? Or
Never. I've never eaten it once in my life.
Never?
Never.
King crab legs?
Never.
Would you eat? Would you eat
Never.
would you eat some of this food for the radio show? A nice big lobster
Sam did it.
or some pork. Would you eat some pork for the Opie
Why,
and
you
Anthony
do?
show?
I don't know. I've never had it in my life ever.
It's good, David. A lot of it's good.
What do you
Especially
eat?
The shellfish, like
Some pork with lobster
Anything
sauce?
that's not that. Hamburger, chicken, hot dog, steaks, regular salmon,
okay.
fish.
why not shellfish though?
It's against the Jewish religion to eat
Why?
Because it's
shellfish.
filthy.
Yeah,
It's
how
a
come
filthy
you-
animal. Lazy-
Shellfish?
Yeah, it's. What are
They're
you
in water
kidding?
all the time.
The
Bottom feeders.
rule for the water animal is that it has to have fins and scales. If there's no fins and scales together at the same time, then you can't eat it.
Wait a minute. But because the shellfish can't swim?
Shellfish doesn't have fins or scales, so they're no good.
But why? Why do you need fins?
Because
and
that's what it says in the Bible. Whatever it says in the Bible is what goes.
But I know, but not necessarily. That could have been written by a guy who sold finny and scaly fish, and he submitted that.
Just like the rule for land animals is that it has to have split hooves and chew its cud at the same time. If not that, no good.
No single hooved.
It has to be able to do the Watusi. That stinks.
Split hooves and chew its cud.
So what the hell doesn't?
Like
we don't eat horses.
Pigs have split hooves, but they don't chew their cud, so they're no good.
Oh,
they don't chew their what?
Cud.
What?
Chewing their cud is like you eat your food and you chew it, but then you regurgitate it and spit it back out. That means chewing your cud.
And then you chew it.
Yeah.
Why do they want you to spit your food back out?
How would you swallow it?
Okay.
I don't know, because that's the rule. I don't know. I didn't make the rules though.
Pigs aren't gross. They swallow their food. You mean they actually just eat it?
They eat it and they swallow it. That's why cows are good. Cows chew their cud and have split hooves, so they're good.
Wow, you guys are just complicated.
Bizarre.
There's all these rules. I don't even know. There's rules for like animals that fly in the sky. There's rules for them
listen,
too.
This is the part of the intern David segment where the other Jews call and say he's wrong about everything.
Of course he is.
What am I wrong about now?
Did they call collect?
Yeah, they called
Like
collect.
that Arnold from Green Acres.
What am I wrong about now?
I don't know, but rabbis always call up and scream.
We're accepting their charges. We got Donnie in New Jersey. Donnie.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Dave, you know nothing about Judaism, man.
Once again.
Okay, so first of all, the holiday Sukkot does not end Tuesday night. It actually ends like later on today, and the other holiday starts tonight. And it's not called Simchat Torah. It's called Shemini Atzeret.
There is Simchat Torah. It's Wednesday.
Well, Simchat Torah is just the second day. In Israel, they don't even have the second day. In Israel, there is no such thing as Simchat Torah. It's only something that's outside Israel.
Well, we have that. We celebrate it.
Yeah, but it's actually not its own holiday. It's just an extension of Shemini Atzeret, which starts tonight, not on Wednesday.
I never said it to me. I said Simchat Torah started on Wednesday, which it does.
But you made it sound like it was a different holiday.
It is a different holiday. It certainly is. It's a holiday celebrating reading the Torah from the beginning.
And what is it called?
Simchat Torah.
You know what? Somebody had a great line. It's long gone, but they want to know if that's an add-on to the Sims game because Sim.
By the way, guys, you asked that you wanted to know some stuff about the Hasidic girls.
Yeah.
I know some Hasidic guys, and, I've heard from them what happens when they get married. Okay, Hasidic girls, in the Hasidic community, they're, like, ultra-sheltered, and they don't hear anything about sex when they're younger. And a lot of these girls, when they get married, these guys, they go out and they get, they look at a lot of porno, watch the movies and stuff, and, they get into some, all the sick stuff, and then when they get married, I hear from a lot of guys that they are able to convince their wives that a lot of this, crazy stuff is actually the norm.
Wow.
And then they have, the most amazing sex lives because their girls will do anything for them because they think that's the normal way it should be.
Hey,
that's Simchat Torah apart.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a place on 78th Street where Hasidic females went to get clean. What is that deal?
The mikvah?
What is it? Oh, hold on. What is it?
The mikvah?
Yeah, the mikvah, yeah.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Basically, that's like, certain times of the month when a woman, that she's not considered clean. So basically, after she's done with all that, then she's got to go to, the ritual bath to, cleanse herself.
Clean that thing up.
Can't do that at home?
No.
God, this religion doesn't give you any time to go to the movies.
Yeah, you dance.
You're always doing stuff.
Dancing, cleaning yourself
Suffering, cleaning, dancing, reading, repeat. Yeah. All right, thank you, Donnie.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Look great. When they empty out the tubs, it looks like the elevators in The Shining.
Christine, Virginia, I feel like this bit has been chewed up, spit out, and shoved back down the listeners' ears. All right, let's do kosher sports with Intern David.
Wait.
Shalom. This is BD Dave with your kosher sports report. Big story in baseball, the Rays went from worst to first by beating the Red Sox last night to reach the World Series. When I was younger, I was a Little League catcher. One year I had a touchy-feely coach who always checked me for a cup. Yankees and other baseball news, Yankees pitcher Jabba Chamberlain got arrested over the weekend for DWI. I sure would like to party with him, know what I mean? In football, yesterday, the Jets had a heartbreaking loss in overtime. I always wanted to be a quarterback so I could touch other men's behinds.
Good inflection.
In boxing, Bernard Hopkins beat up on Kelly Pavlik over the weekend. It sure is refreshing to see two sweaty, muscular men in combat.
It says Kenny written all over it.
In NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson won a race in Martinsville. Where the hell is Martinsville? Jimmy Johnson is currently the #1 NASCAR driver. Wow, I think men who can drive really fast are sexy. In horse racing, the Breeders' Cup is this coming weekend. I wish I was a stud instead of a gelding. And aren't jockeys nice? I love those little fellers. And finally, I don't talk about college sports. Know why? Because no one would have sex with me when I was in college. And this has been your Kosher Sports Report with me, BD Dave. You know, the kid with the big matzo balls.
Intern David. Kosher Sports.
David.
Had a theme to it.
Yeah.
It certainly did have a theme.
Yes.
Obviously written by Kenny.
Yeah, there wasn't really one
What does
Jewish
that mean? It was
reference
written by Kenny's. I mean, did you not like it?
There wasn't one Jewish reference in there.
Not one Jewish reference. That's correct. It was a totally new Kosher Sports Report.
Did you like your sports today?
It was different. It was different. I enjoyed it.
How do you not love David? Who can not love David aside from Ron?
Nazis.
What do you guys think? Do you like this version or the older version?
Whatever you like, I like, David.
We think we should send you to Hollywood. He's like,
This guy should be on TV. He's definitely a character on SNL.
there's a lot of directors looking for Jews, man. You're perfect for any role out there in Hollywood.
I hate to say it because he would be gone, but if The Daily Show doesn't find some interesting thing for him to do, he's perfect.
Yeah.
For a show like The Daily Show.
Definitely.
All right, David.
They're all Jewish at the Daily Show anyways. Jon Stewart is a Jew.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I've yelled that at him in the street.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
No.
Oh, okay.
David, I haven't.
That'd be funny if you did.
Yeah, it would be. All right, David. Thank you so much. Intern
Thank you,
David,
guys.
Kosher Sports. We're going to take a quick break. Continue with Rich Voss, who's where? Funny Bone, Virginia Beach, October 22nd through the 26th. Well, this is a surprise. Someone messed up, but we're fine. We're very happy. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. We got Rich Voss in the studio. We did not know Mick Foley was coming in today until 5 minutes ago, but we're going to show you how professional we are, Mr. Foley.
Well, thank you, Ope.
An old friend of the show stopping by. He's responsible for some of the best radio we've done in many years. Mick Foley was the matchmaker that got Jill and Anthony together.
Oops.
The famous Antolini thing.
Well, things happen, Mick, and
you heard the ending to the saga, right? By now,
I heard it was not an especially good one.
no, it's
for the people that don't know,
happen.
And let me just preface this by saying, Mick Foley was on Channel 11.
Yeah.
He got interviewed by Jill, and then Jill gave you a message to bring over here to Anthony, and you happened to do our show next. You told Anthony what Jill said, and next thing you know, there was there was a thing that happened.
I'd be walking down the street, and people would be thanking me.
Really?
Yeah, they'd be thanking me for bringing these guys together. With the simple message, I'm single and I'm interested.
Yeah, that was it. That was the message. Well, I don't know. It just didn't, in the long run, it didn't pan out. You know how these things happen, right?
I do know how these things happen.
Yeah.
It's like my relationship with Vince.
See? Things are going well, and then maybe Vince got a little too demanding of you and your time.
Exactly.
Is that it? Or Vince, I don't know, had your whole week planned out for you.
He did.
See? Things like that, when you maybe just want to hang out.
You don't want to be told what to do, Mick.
I think that's where the similarities end, though.
Maybe Vince walked in when another boss of a different wrestling company was in your apartment. And you try to put him in the closet. And Vince opened up the closet door and then took your vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It may have been a bad sign when immediately when I came over here with the news. With the news that you guys start putting naked photos of her up on the internet. I don't know if that's
that might
ever
have
a good sign for a relationship.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And then let's say that the guy from the other wrestling company had like the championship belts there. at your house, and Vince came over one day when you were at work and took them out back and burnt them all.
Well, lay this out for me. Now you're losing me with all the symbolism.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you didn't hear the end
Well,
of the
no, I
story.
didn't hear the end of this.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. We had a party over my house. Things were already kind of a little not going well.
This is the one that I was invited to and never responded to.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably
all right.
all for the better there, Mick. Good thing you didn't have to witness anything that happened there. I think she was kind of seeing that things weren't working out well because of some of maybe my hijinks in the jacuzzi.
The fact that you were with one other girl and you were scuba diving for 40 minutes at a time?
Yes.
Might have been an indicator.
That could have been a problem, but I was spending a lot of time in the jacuzzi instead of walking around. And then I guess she got a little angry and took off that night and left the house, left the party. Well, I was still in a partying mood. So, and you know, who wants to be alone at a party? So, a lovely young lady joined me upstairs, and who knew that at about 7:30 in the morning, on my locked bedroom door, I'd hear a knocking and Anthony open the door. Well, yeah. So I quickly told the girl that was with me that perhaps she should get clothed. So she went into my big walk-in closet and started to get clothed. I opened the door, and we started this discussion about, you know, what I was doing, why was the door locked, blah, blah, blah. And so she was walking around the room and opening various doors, and, oh, just like Let's Make a Deal, she hit the right door. And there was the girl just standing there kind of going, hi. So she inquired as to how long she had been f***ing my boyfriend. So the girl was honest. Told her, about 3 weeks.
See, the girl should have said this is the first time.
Well, you know, that's been a point of contention or that, but in the long run, it didn't really matter. Because then everyone left, and then it was just me and Jill left in the house to discuss things for a total of 5 minutes. And then Jill left and took my Escalade, just drove off in it, leaving her car there and taking my Escalade. Now, I didn't realize, but my keys were on the key ring and everything. So I went to work the next day in another vehicle, and she returned to the house, went inside, grabbed up this other girl's clothes in the closet, went out to my brand new fire pit in the back, put it in all her clothes in the fire pit with some lighter fluid, and lit up all this girl's clothes.
This is the most somber I've ever seen.
Just waiting
show.
to exit.
Oh, no, it's not somber at all.
And not only were her clothes in there, but her birth certificate was there, so she couldn't get back into her own country.
All right, now. Oh, okay.
What?
I'm just jumping and making the radical assumption that this new girl was several years younger than Jill.
Oh, yeah.
She's several years younger than Dakota Fanning.
Put it this way, it's illegal for her to drink in this country.
Look at Similac. She came with it.
Yeah, so that happened, and then she also took my Easy Pass, a computer that I think she thought was mine, but the computer wasn't working at the time.
Right.
I'll go into that a little more later. My pistol license, she took that. A couple other things, and then she was saying, "I'll give this back to you when you pick up my dry cleaning, which is $500, and buy me a new camera that she lost at the party." So it was kind of like, you know, a hostage exchange. Which finally I just was like, you know something, I just got to get this stuff back. So, you know, I went for it. And I do realize I kind of handled the situation, you know, a little poorly.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, okay, I'll spring for the laundry and stuff. So give her that, and then she goes, "Oh, so that's your laptop?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "No, it isn't." She goes, I had a computer forensic person go over the hard drive.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Not only that, then I was looking over some American Express bills that were in the pile of things that had to be filed, and certain things were circled on them, like restaurants and hotels. And then there was a little arrow and words.
That's her.
There you go.
She's on.
Little arrows and words that said, so were you out with one of your whores on this night?
But she looks so nice. I'm looking at her on TV.
Tell them about the rabbit she cooked.
Yeah, well, we were all waiting for that, but no, there wasn't any cooked rabbit or anything. Oh, is this a good one?
No, turn it over. I wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Just helping you.
Oh, yes,
You missed the
in
key
the bag.
part of the story.
Yeah, in the bag.
That she burned.
Where the girl's clothes, her birth certificate, and her grandfather had passed away.
Okay.
And they divvied up the ashes so that the various children and grandchildren could take the ashes to maybe a special place and dispose of them. That way the grandfather would be like, all of my loved ones can then put them somewhere special for their own place, and I'll be in various happy places in my afterlife.
I assume this guy
now resides in my fire pit.
Yeah, now he's got ghosts.
Yes,
thanks to you, Mick.
With burnt cartons for beer and cigarette butts, and and
the wires from the bras.
Yeah, and a lot of underwires.
Yeah.
It just, needless to say, it ended a little iffy. You know, it was kind of a little ugly.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be. It made for great radio. It's going to make a fascinating book. And once I got my stuff back, and our stuff back, I might have gone on the air and said a few, nasty things.
Wow.
I might have. Well, which I won't get into.
I just
might have.
I'm going to be
Enola
nice
Gay didn't unload as nastily.
And it all started because of you, and that's why we're retelling the story.
I have this feeling next time I run into Jill somewhere, I'm going to be like Chief Brody when he gets smacked in the face by the grieving
My
mom
son
and
is
John.
dead. I wanted you to know that. Yeah, it's like, hey, what happened? I was trying to close the beaches.
Make sure you wear a tie with little anchors on it.
Look, my son was in that water too. Just do what you do best. Sign the paper.
Basically, what Ant's saying, you owe him for about 4 sets of sheets. So if you can leave the money when you leave the show today, that would be greatly appreciated.
Well, next time somebody asks me to get involved in their personal life, I'm
just stepping off.
Way out of it.
Staying away.
Yeah.
I like the long-haired Mick Foley.
He's back.
Yeah, your hair grows fast.
It does.
Damn.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. I like the long hair. The little crew cut was a little much.
The crew cut was 5 years ago. I was here 3 months ago. My hair was about exactly the same
Really?
length. Yeah,
it kind of was. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't remember crap.
It's all right. Mick Foley's promoting TNA Impact, and you told the story on our show, which was awesome because we got some nice national publicity. All the wrestling sites went with our interview with you, where you were telling the behind the scenes stuff with Vince McMahon yelling in your headset as you're trying to do the matches for him.
Yeah, you guys broke it because I was on strictly to sing "Happy Birthday" to Sam, and I was kind of keeping
a low profile,
very low profile until we were allowed to talk about it. And you got me when I had a lot on my mind and hadn't had anywhere else to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey Mick, how did you escape the brain damage? And I say this because we had Bret Michaels in here the other day or last week. It was depressing. The guy is not the same person.
Oh, really? You're talking about the sick.
What?
No.
Hart. Oh, Bret Hart. Oh my God. What am I saying?
But Bret also.
Bret Hart.
He had a stroke also, and that caused him to just think a little bit slower.
But we've had the Iron Sheik, and we've had Superfly. There's a whole list of these guys that we've had on the show.
Let me tell you quick. There's a little difference though between the damage I took and some of Superfly's damage was substance related. This is they were on CBS, right? I was never a big proponent of the F-bomb anyway, but I'm going to tell you this, kind of PG Superfly story when he left WWE at the height of his popularity, came to AWA wrestling, and it was a big catch for AWA, but they didn't realize the Superfly apparently had some baggage associated with him, and so Greg Gagne runs over his dad. He goes, "Dad, I don't know what to do with the guy." And Vern says, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, he's effed up." And so all of a sudden, Snooki hears that. He goes, "You think the Superfly is effed up? You think the Superfly is effed up?" Then the way The Rock told the story to me, he says, Superfly goes into a stall, and you hear, like, chopping sounds followed by, like, long snorting sounds, like impossibly long. And he walks out of that stall, and his eyes are, like, on fire, and he goes, "Now the Superfly is effed up." But you know what? I made a pretty good decision in 2000 that I kind of saw the future, and I thought, if I stick around and do this full time, there's not going to be much left of me in a year.
Yeah.
Because as my knees and back were really acting up, and I thought I had to give the fans their money's worth, I was like, why don't I take damage to the skull? Give people their money's worth that
way. Really like seeing that.
Yeah.
Cracked over the head 20 times at a chair.
So it was weird because you need to know what you don't know. You understand? And I realized that about the third time I drove a half an hour past my house that, where am I?
But if you guys get hurt, it's just bad choreography, right? I mean,
no. Well, you know what? It's especially when the ratings war in wrestling got really tight. We had to give the fans more bang for their buck, and it was weird because when it was portrayed as being legit and real, you could actually get away with more. But once you start saying, "Hey, this is we're entertainment," people start looking at it closer. So on one hand, it was good for me because all of a sudden it was like, I get it. This guy doesn't suck. He's really good at
taking some real hits.
Yeah. And especially with VCRs, guys could now, obviously now it's DVDs, but guys could slow-mo and look at things and rewind them. And I was the guy like, how do they do that? Okay, I see how they do that. I was always intrigued when I couldn't find a loophole in somebody's style. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be the guy who doesn't have any loopholes. So it seemed like a good idea. When 19 years old, I was like, that's a good idea. Then as you get into your 30s, it's like, man.
Yeah, you would just legitimately throw yourself from heights that are ridiculous, just taking hits to the head that, I mean, how are you not knocked unconscious every night?
Man.
Some of those hits you took. You had to be like, wow, that was a good one. I am really like, I got the little birds flying around.
I have birds a lot of times. I mean, I was just knocked out the one time, which was Hell in a Cell, but there were lots of little birds over the years. Lots. And they started becoming more regular. And at the time, it was kind of like this, macho thing that you didn't want anyone to see, and you're bringing up your hand to block a shot. As if seeing this steel object approaching your skull at high speeds, it should not be deflected at all.
Yeah. It's just the natural response to put your arm up.
And now when I see guys, I hope they bring it up. I bring it up.
How do you avoid the steroids? I assume you did for the most part. Bret Hart was talking about how you guys were just lined up. Backstage, there was a doctor that was just pretty much giving him whatever the hell he wanted.
That was before my time. I mean, a lot. I
cleaned it up a bit when you came out.
I think it was when steroids and donuts.
I went the other way.
Notice how I just assumed there's no way you could have possibly ever been on steroids.
It's a good assumption, man.
Dude Love did not look like you.
You know what? I mean, it was nice when everybody else was looking a certain way. It kind of opened up the door for something that was entirely different. So I realized, first of all, nature wasn't cooperating with me at all. The rumor was that I didn't work out, and the truth was I worked out hard. I just never had anything to show for it. And I just, I thought about it when I was like 19 or 20 when I saw that's what everybody was looking like, and I just thought, maybe I could go a little different direction, but I don't know if you could ever offer up what I did in the ring as being the healthy alternative to taking any kind of substance.
True. Yeah.
So, and I understand that, guys maybe felt like their jobs depended on it, and maybe they did, back in a few years ago. But it's good now that you see guys of all different shapes and sizes. Some of the rock hard chiseled physiques aren't there anymore. I don't think people care. We still look, the guys for the most part still look better than the average guy out there.
Okay, Jay.
I was going to say, you had the kind of niche where you didn't have to be one of those guys. You know, you would take such abuse that it didn't matter if, you had, Triple H kind of a body or anything like that. It was just great to watch you get the crap beat out of you every night,
I'm trying to think of how I can segue this to promoting the TNA show without it being so...
that's true. We will get to that. We're just delving into the past a little bit, and then...
God forbid we'd talk to you, Mick. Jeez.
Can I just
buy a commercial on our show and then scram?
Last time I was here, I pointed out that when I introduced the traveling virus, that it was one of the darkest moments of my life. I never realized how truly ugly your audience could be live. And it was Rich who pointed it out to everybody. I was like, oh, man, that didn't work out too well. And then Rich comes on, and he was like, yeah, I guess that mankind couldn't have spoke. I don't know how you put it, but it was brutally true, and I was just wilting.
Rich. What are you doing?
Good one, Rich.
Was I mean? I'm sorry if I was mean.
I'm sure you were.
Sometimes you got to use what
I know you
in
do.
those audiences.
And I said to Opie and Anthony, all right, man, that was a little rougher because I'm used to almost everybody liking me. And then that poor guy who was in here who won the Crash comedy contest.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was good. There was 15 comedians in here. He was clearly the best.
Yeah.
He went out there and didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, they just hated him. And I was like, wow, compared to that, my reaction was like a love-in, But
that virus show, man. I mean, all the people we get for the show
everyone's
summer.
A heel. Everyone's a heel in a virus show.
But this event always stands out in their minds as the event they did.
It can make people get applications the next day. It really,
it's just terrible. Awful people.
I wanted to give you a compliment based on what Ant was saying about all the crazy stuff you did in the ring. What I loved when you were wrestling was to see the announcers go out of character and basically go, "Holy ass, what is he doing tonight?" Yeah, they weren't acting anymore and really pushing the action. They just stepped out of that role and they were real human beings. This is insane. Someone's got to stop him.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to kill himself in the ring.
That famous cell match when JR made that call, good God, he's been broken in half. It was that
wasn't a scripted line. No. That was him just saying, what the hell is wrong with this guy? The TNA Impact, Thursdays, 9 p.m. on Spike TV. It's live this week.
It's live, live from Vegas, and it's going high def. So this is, it's a big deal. I mean, you guys are kind of busting on me for leaving WWE.
You listen to the show?
Listen, I made an analogy here, okay? Yeah. Now, clearly, you guys know that when someone goes out and publicly states that they like your show better than Howard's, they know they're never going to be invited back on Howard's show, right? And there had to be frustrating for quite a while. You guys knew you had the better show, and you couldn't crack through the public consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, same thing here. We feel like we've got
this.
not bad, right?
This.
Sucking up to you guys in order to make my point.
All right, now we're on the same page.
All right. I had watched TNA since they went on Spike a couple years ago, and at first, for several months, it's there's no way this is going to work. And then things started to, I started to see a little more character development. They were adding guys like Kurt Angle to the roster, and more importantly, they weren't losing guys, when their contracts came up.
Right.
So I think there's a sign that, hey, not only are they getting guys, but when contracts come up, even when WWE's making the better offers, guys are staying put because they like the atmosphere.
Well, speaking of that, TNA Impact, just give us the roster of some of the guys that people know out there that are now wrestling for TNA.
It'd be nice if I actually had the roster.
But you got Kurt Angle.
Yeah, you got Kurt Angle and Christian Cage and Booker T and Kevin Nash, who are all a huge part of WWE. And then you got guys like Samoa Joe, who I always felt an affinity for because he was a guy I really pushed for at WWE, and they didn't think he had the physique for it. So you got Joe and AJ Styles. You got all these guys making up the X Division who do these wild, amazing things.
Isn't Sting part of that, too?
Sting is part of it, yeah. Sting was a guy, who was my first real mainstream opponent in the early 90s. And he's back there. And you kind of see guys who really are enjoying themselves because they're not on the road, 25 days a month, traveling through different time zones. And it's, for me, it's honestly, and you can look at me, Anthony, and Norton, you can look at me. I'm telling the truth here. This is the most fun I've had since since 1999, 2000, when I got to do a lot of stuff on my own. The WWE show's been so tightly controlled in the last few years that it really wasn't fun when I was there.
Aren't you guys doing something on ice around Christmas?
And for the record, Nick looked very unhappy and sad when he said that.
I don't know why he comes back.
He's very depressed. But TNA is on
you got
Thursdays at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, you got Booker T, too. And someone I used to love, I forgot all about, but he's on TNA, is Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, Jeff's one of the
love
founders.
That guy. He's hilarious.
He's good, and I mean, he was instrumental in bringing me in there, and I'm just, I'm really thrilled to be there.
Cool. Where are your kids with you these days? That's my favorite thing with you, because we've been talking to Mick Foley for, close to 10 years now, and they were very little when you first started coming on the show, and this was Dad, can't do no wrong, got the posters, and all they want to do is watch their dad wrestle, and now they can't be bothered.
No.
They're getting into that those teenage years where it's like, yeah, Dad, whatever.
Well, now I've got the older kid, the defining moment, like you said. They had the posters and everything. And one day back when we were living in Florida, I opened up the room, looking. I was like, gee, something's different about this room. It takes me about 10 minutes, and all of a sudden I run back there, open up the door. I'm like, he took the posters down. No dad. There's always like a symbolic moment when the dad slips down the totem pole, but to actually be replaced by like Sammy Sosa,
right?
It's kind of heartbreaking.
But that's what I'm getting at. I'm not taking a shot at you.
Right.
I'm doing. It seems like every parent goes through that with their kids, where you can't do no wrong, and then there's a defining moment where now they're like, ugh, get away from me, Dad, for a few years.
But you know what? They were at the Nassau Coliseum during the Great American Bash, and that's when it's clear that things weren't working out with me and Vince. And I did go out of my way to avoid him that day. And if it hadn't been for Mickey, my 7-year-old, I'm going to tell you a little story last night where Dad definitely did do wrong last night as far as little Mickey was concerned. But he wanted a bowl of cereal before we left. So as the little guys were eating the bowl of cereal, Vince came out of the office. And he said, listen, I know you've got problems with me. And we had a very intense, and not exactly cordial, but it was never got loud. But it was a pretty intense conversation for like 20 minutes. I think the fact that my older kids saw me like standing, toe to toe with this larger than life billionaire and not giving ground they understood you could like earn respect in a quiet, understated type of way.
That's great. That's such a shame. You did so much for Vince and that organization.
But you know what? It was great. It really was great. Most of the time was great. But I mean, Vince. I think part of the reason that I got the feeling he was a big Bush guy, and I think he liked that idea that I'm the decider, making these decisions, and I would sit in these production meetings, and I would see Vince make split-second decisions that would either make somebody's career or almost end it, and then I would have to walk out, and I'd see some poor guy like, hey, how you doing, Mick? I'm like, I'm doing good.
Dead man walking.
But in my case, I went out there last year, and I gave it was almost like my traveling virus moment in WWE, like wrong promo in the wrong crowd. They've been sitting there a long time. And I don't have proof that was the moment, but I know that I was pulled from the roster when I was supposed to have like this great storyline starting 1 week or 3 weeks after my book came out, the Hardcore Diaries. And instead, I got sat down the day after Mania and said, Mick, we're going to have to repackage you. You're not connecting with the fans anymore. So my editor calls me up, and she said, I thought you were going to be on TV. And I said, they said they have to repackage me. I'm not connecting with the fans. And her statement was, not connecting with the fans? You're number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list. Like, only, it's like this alternate universe where facts don't seem to matter. It's all about split-second decision making.
Some tells me the audience is probably different readers. And
you're saying I was appealing to that percentage of people who were reading.
Probably weren't there that night. They were home reading your book.
Yeah, that sucks.
But it was. Yeah. You guys are trying to get me to say something bad about Vince on the phone last time.
Oh, right.
You're trying to.
Yeah,
and honestly, I told you that. And part of the reason I got out when I did was so that I could sit back and kind of laugh about it. Because if I had re-signed, I'd be miserable right now. I'd just be. It wouldn't matter how often. It wouldn't matter if it was twice a year that he really got in my ear. I'd be waiting on it. I'd be like that poor abused wife. Like
the anticipation of the next punch in the eye.
Yeah, and you never knew when it was
You do the good low Vince voice, doesn't he? He's got that one down. Yeah, not the yelling Vince. Yeah. Got a problem. That's really a good low volume Vince.
But you seem very happy, Mick. And things are going well with this TNA Impact.
Yeah.
Thursdays, 9 p.m. on Spike. It's going live this week, too, which is cool.
It is for the first time.
You want to hang for the rest of the show or what?
Cheech and Chong are coming in, right?
Yeah, you can hang with us and,
I think I've got to do some interviews, some
stop.
phoners. I'll hang for a little while just so I can be around those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would be smart for you to hang because if you leave, then we're going to talk bad about you as soon as you leave.
All right, no, I don't want that.
Opie, could you just shut up?
I think we're confusing the listeners. We actually adore this guy, but that's why we take our little shots because we feel like you're one of the guys, Mick.
Can I just tell you the quick story about the 7-year-old yesterday?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
that's another serial story.
no. This is the. I'm going to hide this from my wife forever, but share it with your audience.
Cool.
We were up in a wedding in the White Mountains in New Hampshire, like an 8-hour ride. So I planned out this way of cutting the ride in half by stopping at Six Flags New England. We had someone there helping us out a little bit. And Mickey, he starts getting agitated, like, this is boring. Meanwhile, he's been on a couple cool rides. And so I say, all right, well, the last ride we do is Superman. Superman's braided the top steel roller coaster in the world. And I get on with my daughter, and it's embarrassing because they're letting me get to the front of the line. There's nothing like that feeling of realizing you guys wouldn't know this feeling. You don't fit. Now that you've cut the line and you get in and you don't fit into the coaster. And I see little Mickey, and I said, do you want to go?
Oh, no.
And he just made the height limit. He's tall for his age. And I'll tell you, there was polar opposites between the way he looked when he embarked on that ride and the way he looked when he finished that ride. And as he was, going up that 210-foot hill, I'm like, this was probably not a good idea.
No, yeah.
And the poor little guy came back. He was like the guy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that John Candy spoke about, where he put his kid in the left his kid in the funeral home for. Kids are resilient; they'll snap out of it. He just had those eyes like.
Was he terrified?
He didn't complain about being bored the rest of the way home, but we waited and we got that photo. I wish I had the photo. Just sheer terror.
Nice. Listen, we got to take a break. We got Cheech and Chong, and they're here, and they got to be out by 9. So we really should.
Right.
But stick around, Mick.
I will. Yeah, I sure will.
We want to play the Superfly Snooker ID did for us going to break. We want to rip this thing apart, but I don't know if we have time. But we'll at least play it for everybody.
Okay, Opie and Anthony. This is the Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and you, and you're listening to Opie and Anthony. This is Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and you're listening to Opie and Anthony. It's the Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and you're listening to Opie and Anthony. Superfly Jimmy Snuka on your radio dial.
Yeah.
We're back with the Opie and Anthony show, and safe to say that we're all very, very excited. No offense, Mick, but these guys, I grew up.
None taken.
I grew up listening to their CDs. They're some of the first
CDs.
I mean,
the hell are they ahead of their time?
Albums. Well, I'm trying to make believe I'm, younger than I am. I mean, the albums and the cassettes.
I couldn't imagine the big bamboo paper and a CD. That'd be a little odd, folded.
A little small.
Yeah, a little small, just regular size paper.
It's Cheech and Chong, everyone.
Hello.
Hey,
please sit down.
Welcome to the show.
No offense taken, because honestly, you guys asked me to stay, and I thought if I crossed paths with Cheech and Chong and they found out that I could have stayed and opted not to, that it would be a sign of gross disrespect.
You'd have guys after you, man.
Your kids would take our poster down, dude.
I don't like the fact that Mick acted like we asked him to stay when he goes, can I stay when they're here? Phony.
And, you know the drill.
And I got to say, Tommy Chong did our show a few years ago, and we loved you. We wanted to try to get you to do it on a semi-regular basis. Yeah. Stop by and say hi every once in a while, but we haven't seen you since.
Well, this is semi-regular.
He was in jail.
That's
about that stint.
Yeah, that'll put a crimp in your social calendar,
Yeah.
How you guys getting along? Is everything's good? It's back together? You guys are happy?
He's a jerk, but it's okay. I love him.
That must have sucked being in jail, looking at the TV, and there's Cheech working. Like, God damn it!
No. One of the biggest laughs I got was when I found out Cheech was a love interest for what was her name?
Tyne Daly.
Tyne Daly.
Oh, damn!
I still laugh at that.
When the hell was that? Is that recent?
Must have been hilarious in jail.
Good point. Who are you a love interest for?
Actually, he looked quite a bit like Tyne Daly.
Better. Jesus.
No, but I know Cheech's taste in ladies.
It ain't Tyne Daly. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's a gardener and he's a love interest with Tyne Daly.
Oh, damn.
What was the name of the show?
Judging Amy.
Judging Amy. Of course.
That was fun. She was great to work with, man.
Yeah.
Really,
Tyne Daly?
Yeah, she was a real pro, really, really good actress.
Did she take your teeth out?
And put them in backwards.
God damn, I remember she was in like a Dirty Harry or something.
I saw that the other day, man. It was
and you're like,
young Tyne Daly.
damn, she's young and it still ain't working for me.
But she's working with all the sex goddess,
Yeah.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White was the first person I ever saw on TV when I was a kid. She was on a local L.A. dance party thing called Make Believe Ballroom with Al Jarvis, and she was 19 years old.
Wow.
And had the hugest rack.
Really?
Yeah, at 19. She just graduated from Beverly Hills High, and she was this, like, bubbly little Betty White.
She's a dirty woman.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
she's
she's
like
got
filthy.
She has anything about sex. She's
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, she's got the great sense of humor.
Really
Worse than Cloris Leachman. You guys been watching Cloris?
She's crazy too, yeah.
Cloris, she's the only, she's a female, but you don't want to look. She shows you her titties, you go, okay.
I can put those away.
Yeah, put them away, Cloris.
How old is she? She's showing off her 82-year-old cleavage on that show.
Just fold them up and put them away.
Yeah. No, actually, they're real too.
Really?
She was sexy on Mary Tyler Moore, though. Is Phyllis?
Oh, yeah.
She's really look. Yeah,
Cloris,
She was kind of a hoary character.
Yeah.
Remember the movie, The Last Picture Show?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, what
With Beau Bridges.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Sybil
she was
Shepherd.
hot there.
Yeah.
She was the other woman.
Cloris Leachman was.
Yeah, she was the other woman. She was a Miss America at one time.
She has such a sexy last name.
Yeah.
Leachman.
That's just awful.
Yeah, well,
Leech
not
man.
the Cloris is knocking down the doors.
It was a nickname.
Not going to hear that name in a strip club anytime soon.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, making her way to the stage, it's Cloris Leachman. Give her a big hand. Now, girls.
That's only a stage name if your real name is hepatitis.
So now you guys back together, right?
Yeah.
On the road, taking it on the road. And what are you doing? New stuff, or are you going out with the classic material?
We're like the Alzheimer's show. Our show is brand new to us. We haven't done it for 30 years. So
30 years, yeah. So it
was brand new.
Damn.
Yeah, but it was like we never left. I mean, it was like we were been off for 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, it was. We never even rehearsed going back. We just kind of talked over one bit and then went on stage, and it was like, okay.
Isn't that something?
we actually sat. We put. I got a couple of chairs in my backyard. We put the chairs together.
like
we sat next to each other and looked at each other. And said, "Oh, okay, let's do it."
Yeah, we're back here doing this again.
We're good to go.
Because we were improv comedians, so it was like, well, whatever he says, answer that.
Well, it would be like you guys rehearsing.
Yeah, we don't rehearse. You're right.
You don't. You show up.
Yeah, we should prepare. We don't do that either.
No, we don't. We never did.
Are you guys doing clubs or theaters?
Theaters. We're going to be in Westbury Music Fair. Funny you should ask. Westbury Music Fair Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
This week?
Yeah.
This week. And
nice.
we're going to be in Radio City Music Hall in January.
Damn.
So come and see us there.
And we're selling out everywhere.
Of course, man.
Yeah, you got to go to CheechandChong.com, see where they're playing, and get a ticket immediately.
Yeah.
The people have been waiting for this one for a long time.
It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
in bad economic times, we're doing really well. And we haven't been on stage in 30 years, and we don't have a record or a movie, a TV show, nothing.
But we got a history.
We got a history.
Yeah.
That's what's
And I got a record.
Yeah, you got a record.
Yeah, well, different kind, but.
Here's how I got a record.
And what kind of audiences are they?
The amazing thing is the majority of 80% of the audience is between 30 and 40.
Wow.
And they're all they're crazy.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I tried to do some political humor in Detroit. I got booed. They don't want to hear any. They don't want to hear any political stuff, and they're like half and half McCain, half Obama.
Yeah.
And we had McCain supporters there. That's how crazy and retarded our audience is.
What are they showing up for?
Yeah, but they're Cheech and Chong fans, but they're just they're
you would
nuts.
think they'd all be Obama guys, right?
Well, you would think, but no.
It was said in the day that we were middle of the road dopers.
Yeah,
and that was the norm, and it's true. That's the way we were. So all of a sudden we'd be on stage, and you could see it change from city. All of a sudden we get to Detroit and Indianapolis, and we say, "Yeah, Obama, boo." What are you doing here?
You got to be enjoying the hell out of this election, though. This is a weird one.
Oh, I love it. I love the whole. I love McCain. He's such a retard. whatever Obama says, whatever they do wrong, McCain blames Obama for it. It's your fault that the economy's in the mess. Because you palled around with a terrorist.
He's just barely restraining himself. You can see.
McCain. He wants to say the N-word so bad. He got as hard as that one. But we know what he meant.
We said it behind closed doors. You got to think that word is a fly.
Can you imagine?
It's got to be.
McCain campaign headquarters when the door shuts.
Oh, that'd be a great one.
What about
after they sweep for bugs? Just yell it as loud as they can.
What about Sarah Palin?
Oh, I'd love to hear that conversation. About the Republican Party talking about who picked her, whose idea was that? Because
weird pick.
She draws the crowd, but so do strippers.
See, Tina Fey does such a great impression. We just cracked her wide open. And then Obama will go, and
she has made her a caricature, right? It's like you don't even take Sarah Palin seriously because of Tina Fey.
No, because
exactly.
Well, how can you take her serious? I mean, what?
She's really smart. I mean, who run in Alaska?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah, it really takes a brain to run. Have you been to Alaska?
I hate Alaska.
Never been there.
I've been there, of course. Like the sun doesn't go down in the summertime.
Yeah.
So you got people walking around that should be in bed, and they're carrying
Sarah
guns.
Palin, 5 kids.
Yeah, they're carrying guns, and they got that look in their eye, Then when they mine for gold, they take a pressure hose, and they just destroy a hillside. That's called mining for gold. That's how they mine for gold, and it's weird. I hung with some of the police up there, and they're Native American police. In other words, the guy's sober. That's how he got the job. And they're nuts. They're crazy. And she's the mayor, the governor of the fine state.
Yeah. Were you hanging with the police of your own choice, or?
Criminals and police get along really well.
Yeah,
my dad was a policeman.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, LAPD, 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you still selling merch after shows now? Like, what do you do?
Oh, sell big time.
Yeah. So we were big in them. We never had our merchandising together ever before,
Never.
And now we have it together. Boy, we're selling.
Would you probably kick yourself in the ass for not years ago?
Not really.
No,
we were never a money. We were never in it for the money act. We were in it for the drugs, basically.
Just for the drugs.
If we made the money, that's what it was going to get spent on anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your wife gets it anyway. We get an allowance. But you know what I am selling? We are selling. Like I got a couple of things. AKA Tommy Chong. It's a documentary about my time in jail. And so we're selling that at the gig, on a CD.
How were you able to? Any video or?
No, it's a video.
Like surveillance? What it had?
Yeah, it's got all that. Yeah, it has. They
got video of you.
The government had to give me the evidence, that they had on me.
Oh wow!
And so we made we made a video of it.
Oh, wow.
And it's a great
Chong gone wild.
Yeah, it's Chong. But they didn't show the one where the undercover cop talks to me. And he says, he's one of these really undercover cops. He's got a headband. No one wears headbands anymore.
Yeah, that's like over the top undercover guy.
Undercover cop. Yeah, and he had a backpack with a camera in it, and he'd lean. Every time he'd ask me a question, he'd kind of lean his backpack, so I get his answer.
Oh, there you go.
And he asked me, he says, these well, these pipes of yours, they're not really for smoking tobacco, are they? And I said, no, they're for pot.
And then he went out the truck and went, shoot the moon!
That's probably what it is. But check out the DVD, a.k.a. Tommy Chong.
Were you in G-pop as general population? Or like I'm over 50, and someone said when you go to jail or prison, they put you with people over 50, like you don't go amongst the youth?
No, I was in a camp like Martha Stewart, same kind of camp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, really?
Camp Cupcake.
Like Camp Noam or something.
Yeah, the jail was actually designed and built for Republicans.
Yeah.
During the Watergate scandal, when they had to put all these guys in jail, they had no place to put them. So they built
holes in the golf.
Oh, damn!
No, they don't have golf, but they have tennis. They have tennis, they have a running track, they have a soccer field, They had a football field, 2 baseball diamonds, I mean, sports all day, a garden. I used to go work in the garden. That was my job.
Yeah.
I was in the garden.
Cheech goes, I bet, yeah. Hey, we got Lost fans checking in.
Yeah.
Cheech. I'm not, I've never seen Lost. I'm one of the,
You're Lost?
But Ant's a huge fan of Lost.
Yeah, it's
amazing. It's a great program. I just did an episode right before we started with a tour. It'll be on sometime. The fun part about it is you sit in the makeup trailer and you talk to the other actors about their character. So why are you here? How come you're still filming and you died 2 weeks ago? Hearing their stories, and they don't even know what they are. It's amazing.
Yeah, because you never know. Because with the flashbacks and the flash forwards, you don't know if somebody's dead on the show and they turn up again.
I play Hurley's father, and I think he's going to be behind the whole thing at the end.
You think it's going to all be?
Yeah,
he's the mastermind.
The writers got to be
Yeah.
brilliant to tie this all in. I mean, after the last season, they got to tie in like 15 different stories.
They probably don't even know where they're going.
That is the greatest control for actors ever invented. 15 characters.
Yeah.
You died.
Tell me what you have to wear, a wig, right?
Oh yeah, I got this wig. I look like a Tony, the MC at Ernie's on the Strip. Hey, how many in your party? Want a booth?
What's it feel like?
Oh, it feels like I have a raccoon on my head. Like it's hot. It's in Hawaii. You have to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it's just like sweating all day. But
one of the best characters I've ever seen you play was Dusk Till Dawn. That was hysterical. Yeah, not the Border Patrol. Although the Border Patrol, you were good. What's going on in there? Like you put on some kind of a hick accent. Yeah. But then, no, the guy at the door.
Oh, yeah. You know what it is? He actually had a name that I never found out till.
Really?
Yeah, his name was Chet Pussy.
Really?
I don't know why, but there it was.
Yeah, wow. Who knows why?
His name was Chet.
You come in and just get popped in the face. Fantastic.
It's really fun working with Robert Rodriguez.
I bet. He's a
really fun guy.
Is that your wig right there?
That's it.
Oh my God! We got to get that up on our website.
That is horrific.
Oh my God!
Hey, how many in your party?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, give him a booth.
Maury's wigs don't come off.
That's hot. That thing is hot too. I can't wait to get it off.
Yeah, when I was on the '70s show, I had to wear a wig too.
Oh right, yeah. You had the long hair and.
When they had the rap party, the final episode, I was so glad to get rid of that.
Oh God!
Have you guys done any TV to promote too? I know you've done some radio. Are you guys doing any of the major shows? They film any of the stuff?
So far, no. Have we? No.
On the girl show, a couple of talk shows that aren't going to show until
Chelsea
later.
Handler, we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're on Chelsea.
Yeah.
You don't get yelled at sometimes. You know, the glorification of drugs.
We get
was
that.
Here.
No.
Shut up.
I'm like a designated go-to doper guy.
Yeah.
Or MSNBC.
Yeah.
And I was on a couple of times with Contessa Brewer. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Contessa. She's like she's a nice chick, but doesn't know too much. She said, are you high right now? Do you smoke?
Are you high right now?
Do you smoke? I said, I'm not into pot anymore. I'm smoking hemp. And she goes, well, that's different. I said, oh yeah.
We don't smoke anymore. We're too old. We're into suppositories.
Yeah. more fun.
So you guys should be filming this whole tour. I hope you are. You should be filming the shows and filming the behind the scenes.
We're going to have a
stuff.
DVD.
We started out filming it. And then it was like we were looking at a reality show and all that. Then we looked at it.
Too much work.
Are people taking bets? Because like Van Halen, the tour was great. Everybody thought there was going to be a meltdown. Or people think you guys are going to make it? Or
I don't think so at this point. Because we get along fine. We're having fun on stage.
We do stoner humor.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, our whole career is a joke. You know what I mean? I mean, the fact that we did what we did, we look at each other and go, wow, we got away with it.
Does it after a few years though? I mean, how many years have gone by? And like some of the, I guess maybe there was some petty stuff that kind of got between you guys that you look at now and just go, oh, what a bunch of crap that was.
Yeah, probably.
Like to be mad at that or something.
Exactly. We trying to. We forgot what we were arguing about.
Yeah.
Well, it was really stupid arguments.
I don't doubt it. Both of you is high. But can't carry on a conversation high. Like, what were we just talking about?
But the way it worked, it was he would suggest something, and I'd go, no, that'll never work. And then 10 years later, I'd suggest the same thing, and he'd go, nah, that'll never work. But it all worked out great because it came at a time in our career where, see, when we wanted to get together before, he was always doing something or I was doing something, and it just came at the right time where even though I was doing something, it would be better if I was on the road with my wife, but it'd be better if we teamed up with Cheech, and like Cheech put it, we each have a half of the treasure map.
Right.
It only works when they're
can't access the treasure without both halves.
Right.
I mean, it's bigger than the sum of its parts. Really, so, and it's amazing to see the reaction of the audience when we go out there. It was like, they never thought they'd see us.
How is that? Like, what do you think? Where do you think that comes from? That you have such longevity in the business like that? When other people, like, you ain't going to see like the Smothers Brothers go out.
They were the only one that did what they did.
Well, there's a time.
I'm asking them, Rich.
Yeah, stop embarrassing everybody.
There's a time in your career. and
Cheech, Chong, and Voss. Great.
Right. No, what happened to Cheech?
Pulls off the tongue, doesn't
Cheech
it?
and Chong, we were always true to what we did. We always were true. There was a time when we could have sold out. We got offered a television show called Chico and the Man. It didn't end up being Chico and the Man. And we got offered everything. They said you can have, except they didn't offer ownership of the show. But they offered a lot of money and everything else. And this is before we did the movies. And so we looked and we don't want to be on television because we knew right away they would take what we had and homogenize it, and we'd be like Freddie Prinze blowing our brains out.
Yeah.
And after a series or two, and so we turned that down. So we were always true to our own stuff, and we were never offered movies. At least we were never offered movies at the right time. We got offered Stripes when we were halfway through next movie.
Yeah.
So everything we did was pure Cheech and Chong, and even the breakup was pure Cheech and Chong. And so when we get back,
there was nobody else involved.
Yeah.
In the breakup of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, just Cheech and Chong and Voss.
That's part of the problem is that you guys seem to end too soon, and that's why probably you're selling out everywhere because it was it seemed like there was a lot of unfinished business.
That's right.
Frustrating to fans. Like, God damn it, they didn't fade out and start to suck.
It's amazing the way that it kept on because seeing the movies was a rite of passage for teenage kids for generations.
Hell yeah.
Every time you got to be 14, 15, 16, boom, Cheech and Chong movies, and they kept handing it on, and then they would go access the records, and it was I was amazed that generations would come up and say their favorite bit, and I go, what? I didn't even remember them,
Yeah.
A movie or an album or what?
And Cheech kind of serviced the straighter part of the audience, with the TV shows Lost and everything else, and he massed an incredible audience. I stayed in the sort of the rapper kind of doper sort of side, and so when we get together now, we get both of them.
Yeah.
We get both. We get the straight audience, we get the rapper audience, that type of audience, and it just is magic, and it's just like the magic between us.
The greater percentage of our audiences seeing us now in concert weren't born the last time we were on stage.
Wow.
Really. 80% of the audience is between 30 and 40.
Wow. Really?
So it was 30 years since the last time you guys performed together before this?
27 actually, but probably 30 because the 27 came at the end of the movie.
We have people coming to my grandmother went out with you.
My grandmother said she did both of you.
Oh, dude, what a question! Did you guys in the past? Of course, did you ever pull the two of you on the same girl at one point in your life?
We weren't into girls then.
Oh,
that came later.
Older women. We were into.
What year was Up in Smoke?
78.
That was 78.
Wow.
Yeah,
$100 million it made. $100 million.
It was the very first gold video cassette. The very first one.
Wow.
Yeah. And nominated for 4
Damn.
Grammys. It's like you guys got like a lot of real respect.
Yeah, we got a Grammy too.
Yeah.
I got mine. You still got yours?
Yeah. Oh, it only says nominated.
No, we were nominated for every record we made, but we won it once.
Where's your Grammy, Tommy?
Say that.
I don't know.
I figured as much.
She's in a home.
Made a pipe out of it.
I got gold records. I don't know. There's stuff somewhere.
I got one of your gold
somewhere.
records.
You did?
Yeah. It's to Tommy Chong to commemorate. Oh, I got it.
Just put it up there.
George Lopez once found one in a store, and he bought it to give to me, and I told him, George, it's counterfeit. Man. He got ripped off. Man.
I was trying to do a good deed, man, this is your stuff.
Yeah, you should have this. Yeah.
No, I
felt like OJ.
I think he's going to get, what do you think his sentence is going to be?
OJ is going away forever.
Man.
For a while.
His only defense is that, hey, they're trying to pin that murder I did on me. That ain't fair. I only burglarized a guy. I didn't kill. They can't pin that on me.
Even though
Who
I
do they
wrote a
think
book.
they are? Don't they know who I am?
This is how I did it.
Did you guys ever see us live?
No.
Never.
See there?
No.
Just the old
I saw
albums
it.
and the
Yeah.
movies.
And I saw you. They did a biography on you on some channel. I don't even remember what it was, but they had the whole thing of how you got together and everything, and then they showed clips of you guys on stage, and it was pretty cool.
We're having fun on stage. I mean,
Yeah.
people ask me why we got back together. I just want to see if we could still do it, know, after all these, because it's a pretty physical act. I mean, we run around and dance and
you're sniffing each other's butts.
That's the
a little
physical part. Oh, boy.
Well, whenever Cheech came to me, or his managers that came to me and said, we got to put the act together, I looked at Cheech and say, "Are you going to put on the tutu?" And he wouldn't say yes or no. He'd just look at me, and I said, and that was the thing. If he put on the tutu, that meant we were back together. And the day he put on that tutu, we had to get a bigger size.
A stretch
But
tutu.
he put on the tutu and he came running out. We had a little rehearsal hall going. We were going over the music, and he came running out with his tutu on. I said, "We're back."
Cheech, was it scarier for you because, Tommy, you stayed on stage for a lot of the time, and you concentrated on the film. Was it harder for you to get back on stage in front of live audiences?
Not at all.
No,
I mean, not at all. It was scary. Only that when the first time we got on stage, I said, oh, geez, I know this stuff so well. It's part of my DNA. I mean, it's like, this is really a part of me. I can't get rid of it. It's so natural. We never rehearsed. When we went back on stage, we never rehearsed. We just went on, we talked over a couple of the bits and went on stage and did the bits like we'd been off a week.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I got to go. Westbury, I didn't know you were actually at Westbury. It's this Thursday and this Friday. And they're doing the coming October 25th, the Orpheum in Minneapolis. And what's the website? So we give out the website. People
CheechandChong.com.
CheechandChong.com. I know you guys have Atlantic City coming up too, which is a big market for us. What's that in January?
Go to LiveNation.com.
LiveNation.com, even better for the Cheech and Chong dates.
Radio City. I mean, you guys are going to sell out everywhere. I want to go Thursday night. I had no idea you guys were local.
Exactly.
I think we're going to have to do that.
We were just in Vegas last night. It was great. We did 2 shows at the Palms and the Pearl. We're adding extra shows every.
Wait, literally last night you took a red eye?
No, excuse me, Saturday.
Oh, okay.
We came in yesterday.
Have you guys done the?
Forgot what day it is.
Have you done the Virginia Beach Funny Bone yet?
Rich.
We're on that this weekend.
It's the equivalent of an outhouse with a microphone.
Are you there? I've been there. I've done that Funny Bone before.
I travel. Sometimes I travel with my wife too. Like, she's a comic.
Yeah.
Do you ever get in big fights with her over shows?
Oh yeah. I
mean, because basically, no, I'm just saying they're there to see you. you know, and then she's going on
But
first.
you don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned that. You never want to say that.
No, but his wife opens up for us on the show. She's great.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Like, okay, similar, Tommy, like, I'll use an example. Did your wife ever catch you in a rest area with another guy? Boss? That's what he really wanted to get to.
Well, my wife's very cool. She knocks very loud before she walks into any situation.
Well, the great Cheech and Chong. Really
we got to get out of here, unfortunately.
Okay, man.
They're ending our show.
Okay.
But LiveNation.com, and this Thursday, Friday at Westbury Music Fair here in New York. If there's tickets available, go to Live Nation. And Radio City Music Hall, January 31st. I don't know if those tickets are on sale yet, are they?
I don't know.
I think they are.
They must be.
And check out akatommychong.com for the video.
And McFoley, you stuck around. You didn't ask a question or nothing. You're just starstruck or something?
I was
What's going on?
starstruck. And you guys were asking such good, penetrating questions. And,
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Tommy, I just want to know.
Just stay here.
You know how? I grew up seeing you in the different movies, doing comedy, and all of a sudden you're an accepted. I know it wasn't sudden, but you're an accepted dramatic actor, and just wondering what the first dramatic role was, and if that was a stretch at the time to try it.
Ooh, really, nice. I did a cop in a Showtime movie with somebody. And then people were in it. That's all I remember about it. And I go, well, I could do this. Yeah, this is actually much easier than doing comedy.
Yeah.
You know, comedy is like playing the slot machines. Only every time you put a coin in, you have to get coins back. You know. Yeah. And drama is accumulative. You know, you get the reaction like at the end. But comedy, you got to get coins back every time you put it, or else you ain't doing it.
In a dramatic scene, right? You don't walk out of the scene and people go, "I didn't cry or feel emotion." That's the end of the scene, and that's okay. But
it accumulates through the piece. And comedy is immediate.
Wow, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, because if they're not laughing after, the punchline.
That's the test. If they laugh, it's funny. If they don't, it ain't. No matter how much you think it is.
Mm-hmm. No, that ain't true.
Pause. So you're at the Funny Bones of Virginia Beach.
McFoley's going to TNA Impact Thursdays 9 p.m. on
This
Spike
Thursday,
TV.
yeah.
Thanks
for having me on, guys.
And it's live this week, which is important.
And in high def.
Oh,
you guys have any questions for McFoley?
Yeah, who are you?
Oh, damn.
No, that's from like McFoley from like MacGyver.
Wow.
No, I don't.
I get a chance to.
This guy, I got to say, this guy is known all over the world. The Middle Eastern countries love this man.
Love me in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's a big part of.
Oh, you're David Hasselhoff.
Germany. It's Germany.
I think it's hilarious that they recognize me and not McFoley,
which is awful.
Well, Norton and I have something in common. I've written
AIDS.
I've written 3 best-selling memoirs. Write them by hand, and so
really?
yeah. I mean, I like to study actors, whether it be comedic or dramatic, and. I was, you kind of, when you're involved in wrestling, it's like a...
You're a wrestler.
You're a wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't want to kind
a wrestler.
It's all right.
You guys are good.
What's another
Whose line is it anyway we're playing over
Do you
here?
usually work with a mask?
See, that was the deal.
I did for a few years.
I did.
Yeah, but...
I didn't recognize you without the mask.
His best years were without the mask.
And were without the mask. But
that's amazing, because this guy is so recognizable.
I don't watch wrestling, so I wouldn't know.
That's just amazing.
Well, if everybody watched it, I'd be in, it'd be big trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
I was a big wrestling fan back in the day.
What day was yours?
In the 50s, 60s.
50s, okay.
Yeah, 56s. That's when I used to watch it.
Yeah,
exactly.
right? At the, what was the famous auditorium?
Olympic Auditorium.
Olympic, yeah.
South Palace, yeah.
And anytime they do a wrestling scene in Hollywood, they always go to the Olympic.
The Olympic Auditorium. That was the place.
It's great atmosphere.
And
I knew all those guys, but that's the last time I watched.
Like Freddie Blassie was
Freddie
probably your time.
Geeks.
Lord Athol Latham.
Killer Kowalski. Gorgeous George. I saw Gorgeous George in person.
Yukon Eric was my guy.
Yukon Eric.
Yeah. He had his ear kicked off.
He had his ear kicked off. And
really?
I always felt a kinship with him.
Yeah.
We got on the plane one time with a wrestler. We were on the road, dusty roads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The American
and he
Dream.
had a scab all the way down this, like 3 inches wide, all the way down the side of his face. And says, "What happened here? I got dragged across the ring last night." People think that wrestling is all bullshit. Man.
Yeah, he's missing an ear.
These guys are great athletes.
Piece of one anyway.
Or a piece of his ear.
Really?
Yeah.
Gene Kiniski, you remember him?
Yeah, I do remember Gene Kiniski.
And who was the guy that had the wrestling school in Calgary? Because I knew those.
Stu Hart. We were just talking about his son Brett was on the.
Yeah, one of them died, right?
He died. Yeah.
I'm from Calgary, and my dad used to take me to wrestling matches.
Well, let me just explain something. You pretty much know everything about wrestling, yet you don't know who this is.
No.
You've just explained
He came at the
everything about wrestling.
Point, like when you stop listening to the radio,
Yeah, maybe that's.
And when I was a kid, my grandmother and I used to watch Killer Kowalski and Edward Carpentier and all those.
Yeah, because it was Kowalski who came off the top rope with the eardrop on Yukon Eric, and Eric had that real cauliflower ear.
That's
and
right.
It was brittle, snapped in half.
And this is before steroids. And Yukon Eric was big.
You think these guys aren't athletes? This is all fake. You jump off the top of a rope of a strand of the ring in the thing and take a flying leap. See how much athletic ability that takes.
Mick did quite a few of those. Quite a few. Off the top of the cage during a cage match, which was it was a fall that was just.
I was maybe
ridiculous.
One of the guys who raised the bar to it.
Unsafe. Unsafe is exactly it.
To the insanity level.
How many bones did you break? How many bones did you break?
Yeah, I never somewhere in the mid-teens. But I guess when you lose the ear, that's kind of a cool calling card.
But he got thrown from the top of a cage, and the cage collapsed and wasn't supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And he fell to the mat. How many feet?
This is 16 feet.
16 feet. Right on his back.
And the weird thing is, it's like, I guess it'd be like improv, comedy in the sense that, hey, this is not, this is not how things are supposed to end.
Gonna have to work with it, though.
Unlike a real sport where the action kind of stops when one guy is unconscious, your opponent tries to think of a way to keep things going while you revive. So,
give me an occupation out there, anyone? Okay, injured wrestler.
Did you get stick with needles and stuff coming in the ring?
Oh, I was kind of lucky. Last time I got stuck, I got stabbed with an umbrella in Guam by an old lady. But,
old ladies, they do that. They get these big hat pins and that, and then the guys go by and they stick them.
We were kind of lucky in that, it was accepted as entertainment, so that the days of guys shooting squirt guns of Drano at wrestlers, was kind of over. You didn't have to fight for your.
Well, they believed that the bad guy was really that bad guy.
And I remember, but when I was breaking in the '80s, I mean, you'd get fired if you were seen even talking to a fan because they didn't think. Guys, it always seemed weird to me that 24/7, if you were a bad guy, you had to be that. It was just never in my nature. That.
And that's not really the way those guys are. The bad guys usually the nicest guys.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
They really are.
Especially the guys like me who come from a background of being a bad guy. And once you've been spit on and called horrible names for the first 5 years of your career, it gives you a nice face, So face of.
There's
we're stalling because we're trying to get this video to the.
There's Mick. Actually, those are
you guys will never forget Mick Foley.
Those are tacks, right?
Those are tacks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
And
but there is.
Can you see the tooth there?
He's slammed. Oh yeah.
Here you can see the tooth.
The tooth
see that?
is.
That's actually my tooth stuck in my nose.
For real, the tooth went right through.
Yeah.
And he continued to wrestle anyway.
How much money were they paying you to do this?
The guys I love are the referees.
Probably not.
They're the dumbest guys on the planet. They never hear anything. They never see anything.
Well, let me give you a Vinceism at these
Vinceism
at these production meetings. The Undertaker, the Vicky Guerrero was in a wheelchair, and she was the general manager of SmackDown. And was being forced by the board of directors to wrestle the Undertaker.
She was in a wheelchair.
She was in a wheelchair, but she was being forced to wrestle. Vince was big on reality. These days referees had to be taken seriously, had to obey the referees' rules. And he comes down, and everybody goes, "And remember," he goes, "We have reality." reality or as real as you can be when a woman in a wheelchair is facing the Undertaker.
Oh, Cheech and Chong, watch this. So this isn't him getting knocked. Were you knocked out at this point?
No, it was the one through the cage that knocked me out.
Yeah,
this is the one off the side of the cage.
I know it's radio, but the reaction
falling off the cage onto his back onto a table.
Oh, that's insanity.
That's all phony stuff.
Yeah, it's all fake. You gotta watch.
He got thrown off the top of the cage, landing on the table on his back.
And how much did you get paid for that? Did you get paid good?
I was a guest spot.
There was never. We were never under any kind of guarantee,
like piecework.
We never knew. But when I got the royalty, the check from the pay-per-view, it was
substantial.
Yeah, it was substantial.
A little compensation for that.
I came to regret. If you guys know that probably some of the best work you did in your careers was in arenas or little small places you can't even remember. And so in my case, I look back, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have done quite so much wild stuff in front of 120 fans in Clarksburg, West Virginia. I maybe should have saved that for the big arena.
I know.
All right, here's the watch.
Fall through.
Yeah. Oh, this was a different. That was a different match.
Another different one.
Jesus, dude. Gets slammed.
Watch, he just gets slammed and goes right through the top of the he's...
Were you knocked out there?
No, actually, that was what I thought was the end of my career, and I didn't know that no one would buy my novels.
Yeah, we like beating up McFoley on the show, but the fact is he was part of probably the greatest wrestling match ever.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Thanks.
Right?
But, yeah.
They listed as pretty much the greatest match ever.
McFoley versus who?
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Which I've always maintained, calling that the greatest match ever was like calling the Titanic the greatest cruise ever. But I'm glad people remember it for so long.
You should take him with you. He's a very funny man, too. All right, we should wrap up. So you got McFoley, of course, the great Cheech and Chong, LiveNation.com for all the tour dates.
Thank you, thanks.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure you got to know each other.
That was the best thing he could have said. Who are you?
Yeah.
I never was.
That's okay.
No. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice being with you.
All right, we're going to get out of here, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Bye.
But enough of this palaver. Let's get the show on the road.
Hosting and he's funny. I never talk to him. He's too depressing.
How cool is that, man?
That's great.
Cheech and Chong. I was telling Ant during the break that it's not often that we have, celebrities come by that make you really nervous. That was one today.
Really?
Those guys, yeah, man, because they're just legends. I remember, listen to the Cheech and Chong records and cassettes or whatever the hell they were on back when I was a kid.
Back in the day.
And I would listen in my room to forget about my weird upbringing, get a few laughs before I went to bed.
Turn the tears into a little smile.
Oh, sure. And now and then you fast forward a few decades and they're sitting on your show and you get to hang with them. That's just weird to me.
And they listen when you ask them a question, they answer it. It is bizarre, right?
Yeah, isn't it?
It's just a weird thing because the same thing happened with someone like Willie Nelson. People I used to watch on Johnny Carson as just a little nothing, and then all of a sudden they're on our show. To me, that is such a weird thing. Cool as hell,
30 years later.
I know, but still, when you're in your living room watching TV with your family and you see Willie Nelson on Johnny Carson, you never thought in a million years someday you'd be talking to that same guy.
Yeah.
Same with Cheech and Chong, and I don't know, it was one of those moments today. It was cool, and they gave us great radio.
They were very good guests. I hope my picture with them came out so I can show.
Ooh. You know what I'm going to have to do until I get my Jimmy Norton replica camera? I want my pictures taken with Jimmy Norton's camera.
That will absolutely happen.
Because the E-Rock camera...
That stinks.
...sucks a fucking big hunk of Nagel.
Wow.
I can't fucking deal with his camera.
Where is E-Rock?
I don't know. His camera stinks. His pictures that he takes stink. And I never get him anyway. I get him I do get him. Hold on. I do. But years after the celebrity is dead.
Let me see your camera. How'd your picture come out of Cheech and Chong with Anthony?
Yeah, let's see. Let's
it's
take
10
a look.
megapixel.
Is it?
Yeah, aren't you ready to give us another disc of pictures?
It's a 10,
ready, right?
10 nagel pixel, they call
What
it.
he does, he collects them, and then every 3 to 4 months, 6 months, and he finally gives us a disc, and then all of a sudden you pop it in and you go, oh, that's right.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That looks good. I don't know why you have Mick Foley in there. Believe me, I waited till he was out of the way. I would have said, move, Mick.
He'd have to leave the room.
Especially when they said, who are you?
Who are
Mick
you?
Foley, how great is that?
It's kind of funny because Mick's head is popping in like he's doing one of those asshole things that we do all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, my shirt is taking a turn that makes it look like I got a big fucking
boner
belly.
Oh.
No, that's got to be remedied through Photoshop. I'll just cut that off. I'll fix that. I'll do... There you go.
Cool.
All right, Nagel. That's probably one of your better ones, so
It is.
you're
But he takes-
forgiven.
You ought to see when Ozzy was in
You
here.
do take horrid pictures.
When
though,
Ozzy was in here, he had forgotten to charge the thing. So there's some great photos of me and Ozzy at the console here. But a couple of them were blurry. And I'm like, why are any of them blurry?
that was with the old
Why?
camera.
In this day and age.
Let me see my picture.
Drew Broad,
Please.
this day and age.
Please, we got Rich Voss who's getting his
fucking teeth yanked.
choppers
yanked out. He's gonna do some of his classic Rich Voss comedy without teeth later today for the boys. Oh yeah, I look thrilled to be with Cheech and Chong, and I love these guys. Whatever.
Why do we look at the pictures at all?
I know.
You're
It's just
right.
like-
Never send them.
Yeah, don't send them. We got a handwriting analysis standing by.
Good. We need to get...
David!
Where's young David?
We've been meaning to do this for a while now.
Where's David?
Intern David came in, and he's
David?
He's a bit on the strange side. A bit weird.
He is... You're like...
Borderline weirdo.
You're very much like many of the young Jewish kids that I grew up with around Long Island. Yeah.
He's the reason Jews get beat up, because people think all Jews are like that, like little goofy, whiny type.
But they are.
No,
Right?
no, I'm like a tough Jew.
You're not a
from-
tough
You are
Jew.
such a tough
What are
Jew.
you talking about?
No, I'm a tough.
Well, compared to him,
Well, no.
I would have to agree.
No,
But
I listen.
But
I
that's
mean, I'm
not
not saying
saying much.
I'm not saying I went out on the street and I got in fights, but
Well,
I
you're not a
did
tough
stuff. No, you could be tough without getting in fights. There's stuff I've done
All
in my
right.
life.
When you're a Jew, you're a Jew all the way.
Yeah, what
You
have you
know.
done that's tough?
I don't know. I used
Did
to rob
drugs?
crack dealers and stuff.
You
was
never
desperate.
robbed a crack dealer.
They
I
handed
almost
it
Like
to you.
they- did they give it to you?
almost.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They'd pull up. I'd pull up on them. I'd snatch it out of their hands.
You hold them
right
up
away.
with your mouth on their cock. Freeze. Give me the crack.
I'll suck the lifeblood out of you into my belly.
I don't know. It's just,
Don't make me swallow this cum.
if I looked like him and act and had as funny as I am on stage, if I looked like him, I'd have a career, because they go, oh, he's a Jew, and the Jews look out for each other, but they don't know I'm a Jew in this business. They think I'm like,
Why?
know,
You say it every 30
I
seconds.
never say it on stage. I say it like one time in my act, maybe years ago. I
Huge
did.
Star of David tattooed on you.
Exactly, never again.
Yeah, but you think I walk around like
That's
this?
what the
on-
audience says.
Around Hollywood, you fucking shut up.
And when they're leaving a Voss show, never again.
David, don't plant that fucking seed, you jackass.
I'm teasing because Voss is he's hysterical on stage. I've heard more compliments from other comics about you on stage and how you can work a crowd and stuff. Believe me.
Well, thank you.
Voss is very funny.
Yeah, we
he's
want
just
people to know that.
a complete dolt on this show for some reason.
And I always bring something.
Of course you do.
And the reason we want people to know that, because we don't want Voss coming to us someday like, I'm down on my luck, you got a few bucks.
Oh, that's going to be next week.
Bonnie left me and took everything.
Can you just spare me some money?
See, Bonnie doesn't know how much money. Like, I don't have a lot, but I was happy when they raised the FDIC. I said this to her. I go, are they raising the FDIC to $250,000? She goes, why the fuck would you care? I go, I'm just wondering.
Oh, look at Rich. I'm
For insurance?
It's already raised to $250,000.
Yeah.
So it insures you up to there?
Yeah, because the government's going to, the government backs it. And then they're talking about some kind of moratorium on it. Like, you could put as much as you fucking want in there, and you can't lose it for like 6 months.
Yeah, but they say that, but then when it happens, they go, well, what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah,
you lost
hey,
it.
we
Sorry.
can't. Yeah, we can't afford to pay it. So
sorry.
go
What
fuck
are you
yourself.
gonna do? Yeah, here, take it.
What
David,
happened?
do you resent this type of talk about you?
No.
From Richard?
No, not at all.
He's implying that he's tough and you're not?
No, he's the kind of Jew that
Can't
he's
fight?
Well, no, I'm not saying he can't fight. He's what he is he's going to
guy.
be very successful, but. You can tell he's a Jew when he walks down the street. He's got that Jewy Jew look to him. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
But Rich is a Jew, so he can say that.
David, hold on,
it's like the N-word.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Of course you're saying it. Like, David, what do you think?
But
Anthony,
hold on, no offense, but everyone thinks exactly what he said when they see this kid.
Yeah, but
why can he say it and I can't?
Because it's the same reason everyone thinks another word when certain people walk down the street, but you can't say it.
I understand, but just saying Jew is not good enough. You really
he's Jewy Jew. Listen,
you have certain very stereotypical Jewish features
from your neck to
mannerisms.
the top of your head.
And things like that.
Yeah.
So, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's
No,
just
there isn't, no.
that's the way it is. Like as far as being Italian goes, I know I whip my hands around and talk, and when I'm with my family, we go, hey,
and he's
we
greasy.
drop the N-bomb all the time, and I'm greasy, and we don't want him living in our neighborhood. And
saying you got a lot of JJ characters.
Yeah.
Is that like the N-word?
I gotta call it.
You could call him a J.E.J.
Right.
But
I want to go with JJ. Hey, what's up, JJ?
JJ.
When I see him, he reminds me of my cousins that were always so smart and always did well. All my cousins are like lawyers or just like rocket scientists. They're really smart.
Yeah.
And I was like the black sheep, or the inferior race sheep.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're
Like
the
in
fucking-
twins.
The Pete Rose haircut of the family.
Yeah. Hey, we got to get into this because she's on the line. I mean, we could
yes.
kill Voss some more after Michelle hangs up.
It's always fun for that.
So just to set this up, intern David, we got some of his handwriting. I think he did application for the internship and wrote down some stuff. I don't remember.
He'd like write his even when he's writing down his
Kosher
bit.
sports and stuff.
It's this scrawl, this chicken scratch kind of weird handwriting.
Speaking of the kosher sports,
Very Zodiac killer.
Kenny was amazed at something. Did you understand what you were doing today with your kosher sports?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
What are you referring to? You're referring to the fact that it was a kosher sport and there are no Jewish references?
Yes.
Well, that was one thing.
That was one thing.
But there
that
was something
obvious.
else.
There was something else that was a theme of the whole thing that Kenny's like, I can't believe it, but I don't think he picked up on it.
Every story had a certain
A sexual thing, yeah, sexual intuition. That it was all like liking men and stuff. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Very good, good, David.
I picked up on that. I did.
Oh, you got to get Natterman and do dueling Jews right next to each other. They're the same people.
But Natterman will have. I can't do his voice. I wish I could.
Who's Natterman?
He's got the greatest voice.
Natterman. Who's Natterman? I'm Natterman.
Well, do we tell him, David, what this...
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, he wrote a thing about
it's my autobiography that I wrote.
It's nice.
About wanting to be an intern, and the writing creeped us out to a point we got a handwriting analysis. And she's going to tell us a few things. One handwriting analysis said, I don't want anything to do with this, after she read this and saw his handwriting.
Do you write cursive or only print, David?
Only print.
Why can't you write cursive?
Only thing in cursive is when I sign my name.
Why not cursive?
Why do you stop saying cursive?
It's script.
Script, cursive, whatever.
My Candy Club Soda Candy.
You're writing cursive? Something about
either.
cursive. I think there was cursive.
I can't write in script.
Did you practice your cursive today?
Nope.
I don't like writing.
I write
in
very sloppily.
Script.
But I can.
Because I can't write fast in script. I have to do like that capital I is so weird.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I don't like
See,
that
it flows
at all.
together. It all. I write much faster in cursive.
Nope.
Do you?
Hey, can you say tabernacles?
Tabernacles.
When did you write this? In second grade?
Tabernacles.
No, we have this woman waiting for us. We have
Yes, well,
yeah, she's on the line.
We're having her handwriting analyzed.
Well, let's get her on.
Oh, all right, David.
Hey, David. Wow, he's being pushy now.
Very assertive.
Chill, you.
Hi,
JJ.
Michelle.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, I have your handwriting, David.
That's me, I'm
we
David.
want to know a little bit about you quickly first, Michelle. What kind of...
Well, let's start by, what's your last name? Because none of us could say
it. Says Dresbold.
My last name is Dresbold, Dresbold, like the girls dress in
Dresbold. Why don't you dress bold? So it's Michelle Dresbold. And what are your credentials?
Well, I'm a handwriting expert. I also go to court. I have training with U.S. Secret Service.
Ooh, wow. Kick some ass then too, right?
I do all kinds of criminal type cases where if there's a handwritten note at a crime scene, it's my job to go there and try to help law enforcement figure out who it is.
So, like, what was your best case or whatever? Like a case where you brag about?
One of my cases that I guess I brag about was a young college student who put a building on fire because he had a crush on a girl on the first floor.
Yeah.
Wrote a note to her parents, and what he was really trying to do was scare the girl in the building to come back to him. So, unfortunately, he did kill someone in the fire. Wow. And I linked the letter he wrote to his parents saying he put the fire on, and it was anonymous to him, and he's now in prison for life.
How did you link it? Was it personality stuff or other handwriting samples?
This was really other handwriting samples. He had written handwriting from different handwriting samples to friends. They gave the handwriting samples to the police, and there was this note basically to his parents that was anonymous but said, too bad that fire had to kill that kid. It was meant for your daughter.
Oh,
but it was
that's
anonymous. And anyhow, I linked that, the handwriting, plus other things, from the letters he had written to friends to the letter from the parents, and that was the connection to this fire, and that was used in his trial.
So do you ever work with profilers and stuff like
I
the
do.
FBI?
In fact, I am a very good profiler. I'll work as a profiler, and I'll work with, let's say, companies that are trying to hire people. Who should they hire? Or let's say someone's dating somebody. Should they date this person? Is this person really crazy? Are they wacky? So I work with all kinds of people.
What can you tell? Obviously, there's certain things that crazier people do, like do they drop their Y's a certain way? What are you looking for when you're analyzing someone's personality?
Well, like I talk about this in my book, which is Sex, Lies, and Handwriting.
Oh, nice plug. Nice plug. That sex thing sells.
But in the book, I talk about there are certain features that will show up over and over and over again in certain types of personalities. For example, let's just say somebody takes their eye dots or their periods and they take them and they make them real big and thick and grind them into the page. It means that they're really angry and have a lot of inner resentment. Or if you see somebody's handwriting and on the first part of their letters, there's like a little check mark. You can only make angles when you're angry. So somebody who has a lot of little check marks that don't belong all throughout their handwriting, they have a lot of anger and they can like go off if you like push them just a little bit too much.
I'm not sure what you mean by check marks.
Nor do I.
Like a little angle.
Let's just say you make let's just say a letter like, let's find a good one, like an N.
Okay.
When you start the N, instead of just making your hand go down, the very start is a teeny little check mark. Yeah. It's not big. It's just a teeny check mark.
It's like almost like your hand twitched when you were putting the pencil to paper.
Like when you're relaxed, hand makes curves.
Oh.
When you're like if you get real angry, you can only make angles. So somebody who's very angry will have these teeny little angular marks all over the place. That's just one example. There's all different types of examples, and like obviously, like different types of people have different personalities. And for let's say somebody's handwriting goes way to the right, that means they're just so emotional that they can if they will not think correctly, and they'll just go with their emotions. Or if their handwriting's way to the left, it means that they'll talk to you, but you won't know anything that they're saying. You know, they keep everything in their head. So every little thing in handwriting shows what's going on in your brain.
I've been very curious as to very tiny writing. People that write very small. What is that?
Can I guess before you give an answer?
Go guess.
I'm going to guess. It has something to do with compartmentalizing. It's an OCD thing. It has something to do with like the same type of people who compartmentalize everything in their life.
I say
sort of.
I say low self-esteem.
I mean, someone who writes really small, and I tell people this in my lectures, take your name and write it smaller, and so small you can barely see it. There are people who are super focused. If it gets too small, they're retreating from they're like retreating from society.
Ah, that's interesting. Because we know a couple of people that write very small and retreating from society would be something because society probably,
didn't approve of their
any extreme, way too big,
where they put
or way
their
too small.
Oh, and way too big would be
an
what?
egotist, somebody
An
who
ego.
has to get all the attention in the world. Like, hi, look at me. They'll write you.
Fuck, we should all wrote something before she did this.
Well,
and that would have been hilarious.
But
to see who had the biggest print.
we could do this by just taking something we've written already.
Right, or you could write something right
Except
now.
Voss, he hasn't written anything in years. Sorry, Rich.
That's good. I like that one.
So wait, you read David's thing.
David?
I did read David's handwriting.
Now, obviously, it's all in. He doesn't write in cursive.
A lot of people don't write in cursive, especially men. In fact, a pretty high percentage of men never write cursive.
Is it weird? Like, this is weird. Somebody told me that I make like the letter I make huge. Like when I'm writing I, and somebody says because my penis is large.
I think that's the reason.
All right, goes right along with you, Jimmy. Michelle, listen to David's laugh. Oh, he laughs with gusto.
That was hilarious, though.
Michelle, what does it mean when you pepper your writing with the N-word? You just kind of pepper it in there.
It means you have some not so nice tendencies.
All right, let's get into what
I've been told.
David wrote my autobiography. You got a copy of it a while ago.
Right, that's true.
The first paragraph, my name is David. I was born in 1982. I first lived in a town called Aberdeen, which is in New Jersey. I lived there for almost 10 years.
Now, obviously, that's...
We're not going to read this whole thing, but I'm just like, whatever.
Well, that's obviously worded like a well-written adult.
Yeah.
Well,
this is my book report.
When I look at handwriting, I don't look at what somebody writes, what the words are. I look at the handwriting. And in fact, often I'll just take a handwritten page and turn it upside down, and I will give you an analysis because it's not from what the person says, but from the actual way they write.
All right. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. What's
David?
What's David all about?
What do you got on him?
Wow. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I found about David from his handwriting. David is sort of like innocent. He has like and when he wrote this, it's sort of like a childlike or very youthful type of handwriting, almost like, he said he's born in 1982, so it's actually a younger handwriting than that. It's a very, like a late bloomer's type of handwriting. He also, he takes his periods and he does make them pretty big.
Yeah.
That means the way he does it, David can be obsessive. So when he thinks about something, he thinks about it over and over and over and over again in his head. And,
that's actually true.
Yes.
And, let's say, David, if you were mad at somebody, in third grade and you saw them on the street, you still would not like them. It's like, oh, I didn't like him in third grade and I still don't like him.
That's pretty normal, though.
If you like someone, you're real nice to them, and if you don't like them, you'll stay that way. I did notice something in your handwriting, David, that I thought was interesting. You sometimes reverse letters, like your D's turn into B's. And what that means is probably growing up, you had a little bit of a learning disability, which might have made school a little hard for you. And a lot of people are really bright. They will reverse letters like you do.
I did that all the time when I was in first and second grade.
Okay, well, it meant that you had a little bit, maybe even a visual learning disability. And so probably high school was maybe difficult for you. And it could be that you're very, very bright, but reading and memorizing what you read is hard for you.
That would make him not bright.
This woman, she's got it not nailed down to the right. She got it.
I would do that a lot. My lowercase B's and D's. I would screw it up if I was writing something real quickly. I would screw it up and be like, oh, that's, of course that's a D. It goes the other way.
Okay, that really means a lot of people have that, and you can be very, very bright and do that.
Yeah, I am. I'm very bright.
It's a learning disability, and a lot of people who do that have to take other paths in life rather than what we quote the normal path. The normal path.
Opie, stop laughing, you bick.
Well, something like that. But
what are you saying? I'm not normal.
No,
Shut up.
It's better. In a way, you can be quite bright. And in fact, a lot of really, including Einstein, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a lot of people...
Schwarzenegger and Einstein. I've never heard them put in the same category.
They both reverse their letters.
I got Blair's cousin Jerry from The Facts of Life.
But that can mean you're bright. Memorizing written words are hard. So you wind up usually doing something more creative and in your own vein, and that's where you excel in life. David can excel.
Can people
energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
David. Crack up, young David.
Can people fake hand they might know it'll be analyzed and fake it so it can't be analyzed?
Wow, Rich is paranoid.
Not really. I mean, you can fake it, meaning somebody can write in all capital letters trying to block print so you can't read them. But even if, let me tell you, if you just said, Michelle, I'm going to write with, let's say you're right-handed, I'm going to write with my left hand to disguise it. Every trait they came out with your right hand will come out in your left hand. And in fact, they sometimes do an experiment with people and they make them write with their foot, and I can still analyze the personality.
Really?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
I got 20 jokes right there.
I know what else you can tell.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's such a good joke. And it's topical.
What else do you want to know about David? Anything?
Whatever you got on him.
Yeah, is there the thing with the period being very... Now, you said earlier that was kind of an anger thing.
It is a little bit of an anger. It can be obsession. In his case, it's more like obsession because it's big, but it's not huge.
Mm-hmm.
But it does mean that he can be inwardly angry and have hard time expressing it outwardly.
And what does it mean? Like, I see some of these letters on the page that he went over the letter twice, and they're darker than the other ones. Like, there's one where he spells school, and the L in school is like he went over it a couple of times. It's darker than the rest of the word. Bay, the Y, the H in 3. Like, there's quite a few of those.
Okay, when you go over letters over and over again, it's an obsessive quality because you're not satisfied with it just the way it is. You have to go over and over. So it's someone who can get quite obsessive, and when he's into something, it's hard for him to move on.
Yeah.
So it's a sign of obsession. So that's just something David has to work on. A little bit of thoughts get in his head, and they're hard to get them out of it.
What do you consider when someone writes the word Aberdeen and they begin with a capital A, as they should, and the capital A is smaller than the 3 E's in the sentence, which take up the entire line?
Well, that is true. Technically, that isn't really the way it should be.
Of course not.
That is also sort of like, David, did you have a little bit of a visual problem growing up?
Sure.
Yeah, so
Yes,
that's really
sure.
with David's handwriting. It's just a little bit, he has a little harder time visually.
Did you, David?
Yes, I did.
What was your problem?
It's a lot of disabilities, like learning disabilities and stuff.
My glasses.
Yeah, as you can see.
David, that's where his handwriting, sometimes when you see things like this, like if I had seen this, and I obviously don't know David, but I would say, David, you have a little bit of a learning disability.
Yeah, that's correct.
You're really smart, and your visual sense is a little hard. It's a little harder for you, so you need a little bit of different learning skills. And that's why his letters, actually, most people's words, the first letter will be big, and then it will get smaller.
That's weird because
the other way, and that's probably because he's had a visual perception problem.
Are handwriting analysts, amongst other profilers, looked down at, kind of like chiropractors are to doctors? I mean, do you get the respect that, like the forensic people get, and, the ones that are really solving the crimes?
Well, I think maybe some people are looked down on. Example, I don't think I am, and I think I actually think that it's a pretty well-respected field, though you have people who might be a little bit, don't know much and try to pretend they know everything.
I think it's hokum.
Yeah.
There can be a little bit of that with people, but I'll tell you what, the more you know about it, it's just a fascinating field. And I find that, I work a lot with different lines, and they love it. And I have... I'll give you an example. When I first walked I'm from Pittsburgh, and when I first walked into the Detective Bureau, they rolled their eyes like, oh, who's this wacky girl? But after they saw what I could do, after a while, I had a lecture for the detectives, and they were sitting out the hall. That's how the reputation of how accurate a handwriting profile can be. And after people start to find out how accurate it is, it's amazing. You know, you'll just get people from all over the world coming, trying to say, "Help me to figure this thing out."
Well, I'm pretty impressed with her assessment of David, because that really does kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, you pretty much got it right.
Thank you,
hit the
David.
Jew on the head.
Michelle, from his handwriting, has he killed small animals?
Oh, I hope not. No, he hasn't, but he does worry a lot.
Worry a lot.
He's a worrywart.
What about his penis size?
Oh, it's fine. You know.
You can tell from the handwriting?
Can you tell from the handwriting?
Well, I wouldn't
She
know.
hinted at that.
Well, there are things you can tell about, like you can tell a lot about someone's sexuality through their handwriting.
All right, that's what we're getting at with David.
Okay.
What can you tell?
There we go.
We're looking at a version, aren't we?
Well, sort of. I mean,
Wait, how can you tell about the sexuality?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll give you like an example.
Like if the beginning of one word is rammed into the end of the other word. Will that tell you something?
There's something in it. In David, since he prints, it's a little harder to tell, but if somebody writes your lower loop, like your G loop, your Y loop, bottom of the F, anything that has a lower loop represents anything that goes on from your belly button down. It can be someone very physical or someone or sexual. So the way somebody makes their lower loops shows what they're like sexually and how much emphasis they put into their sexual
Now we know why Anthony goes through so much paper.
What are your lower loops like? Like, let's say someone...
Poor Anthony. He can only get 4 lines per page.
That's okay. My handwriting's worse.
Oh, wait, in cursive you mean, right?
Well, it can be cursive, or if you print, you still, unless you print in all caps, you will have, let's say, a lower loop of a G.
My lower loops are fatter, bigger.
Okay, fat lower loops mean that you are sexual. You fantasize a lot.
About what?
You like to be active. You get bored very easily.
I like to what?
You get bored easily.
Cool.
If I wrote you a letter, could you tell if I ever blew anybody for coke from a letter?
Yes, especially if you titled it, "I blow people for coke."
Hey, Michelle, what about people that write in all caps? I didn't catch that one.
Okay, if somebody writes in all capital letters, well, first of all, one of the reasons men print and women more likely cursive is connected. So emotionally, a lot of women like to connect. The more you print emotionally, a little bit more you separate. Somebody who prints in all capitals.
I write, "Stop yelling, LOL."
Yeah, they don't want you to know anything about them. So a
talking.
person, it will almost always be a man, and he'll print in all capitals. And it means that person doesn't want you to know much about what's going on inside their head.
So did you read the Ramsey note, the John Benet Ramsey note? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, in fact, I have a chapter on that in my book.
What do you think of it? I mean, obviously, I think the family has been cleared.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that note?
Well, what I
all right, that's about all we have time for Michelle.
That note is a very bizarre note, and it's one big piece of evidence in that case. One piece of evidence you definitely can link to the murder.
Who do you think wrote it, though? Was it a family member or no?
I really won't tell you, but I do compare it to a family member in the book, and I show you the comparisons to one of the family members, and I leave it up to the reader to figure out what they really think from looking at the comparison. I really think it would be when you have to think about that note that somebody wrote it in the house, because the note was written in that house. It wasn't brought to that house. It was written there. If you've ever tried to write a note, a 3-page note, and try to disguise your handwriting and see how long that takes. So if it was an intruder, and I'm not giving any opinion on this right now, but if it was an intruder, you would have to have somebody who would have had to sit in that house for hours writing a note. And I don't think you can take that out of the equation of what might have happened here. But there's no answer, really, obviously. But I think that note is a huge piece of evidence in this case.
What would you consider an attribute of handwriting for somebody that is dangerous?
You mean something that someone very dangerous?
Yeah. Is it that they put little devil horns all over the place?
You know what? You're not so far off, because there is something called a devil's fork. And I write about that also I'll plug the name of my book Against Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. I talk about something called a devil's fork. And you will see it not in very many people's handwriting, but you see it in Ted Bundy's handwriting.
Oh.
Many serial killers' handwriting. It looks on the bottom of a letter. It can show up different places, and it looks just like a devil's fork. And I actually just had a case recently with somebody who was accused of murder, and right in her handwriting is the devil's fork. And I'm like, oh my God, and I was busy showing it to people. It's something you do not see often. I'll tell you a story about the devil's fork if you like.
Wait, hold on. Before you do that, can you tell me what it looks like? Because
it looks like, okay, you have a straight line, and then like at the bottom, there would be a curve at the bottom on where the straight line is, so it looks exactly like what a devil's pitchfork would look like, and you will find it somewhere in the handwriting.
That sounds like something that's like you'd have to do as a calculated thing, and wouldn't just be an errant pen stroke or something.
The interesting thing is that it is not calculated. It shows up, and the person has no idea they put it in there.
Is it like almost like, picture a letter Y, a capital Y, a horseshoe upside down with a line under it? Would you consider that a devil's fork?
Yes.
Okay.
But usually it will be like, say, do a Y, and the bottom straight part, which would normally be the loop, but it goes down, and then you get this curved, like a sad face at the bottom of the straight Y hanging down. So it looks like a sad face on the bottom of what would normally be the loop of the Y, but the Y doesn't loop. It just goes straight down, and then at the bottom is a sad face intersecting.
Is it in your book?
Yeah, it's in the book.
I can see how that could happen.
I can't even tell you what page, but it's
what page? Because I want to see it.
When I talk about certain serial killers, they will have this, and it looks just like what you would if you were drawing a picture of a devil and he was holding a pitchfork, what the pitchfork would look like.
Michelle, I'm sorry.
No, they do it.
What? I'm sorry. I'm looking at Aleister Crowley's signature too. What page is the Devil's Pitchfork on? Because I have your book here.
Okay, what page, Ellen? I don't have one. Oh, here's the book. Let's see where we have a devil's. I know it's in the chapter about Ted Bundy, so and which is called.
What could you tell by Aleister Crowley's handwriting? That he was a silly goose?
Aleister Crowley, actually, is in the chapter called, is that a phallic symbol, or are you just happy to see, in your handwriting, or are you just happy to see me?
No.
You will find people, and they will actually put phallic symbols or male parts in their handwriting, and that is somebody who has to get their kicks sexually from something perverse, or a little different than normal. So
God, that explains a lot, because after I'll like put the letter Y dripping from the bottom, I'll put little things of the Y's. Boo. Bailed out, Michelle. Sorry, I felt a bomb coming on.
If you look at that, like phallic symbols, example, Michael Jackson has it in his handwriting.
When he writes the word child.
Well, a lot of times it happens in, like a phallic symbol. I once saw it in one of my friends, a female's handwriting, and I looked at her handwriting, and I had seen her handwriting many times, and I'll make up a fake name for her. I said, Carol, look, you have a phallic symbol. Why is that in your handwriting? She goes, oh my, I had sex the first time in 9 years yesterday, and it showed up right in her handwriting.
Wow.
So
That's wild.
Thinking about sex a lot or obsessed or something is a little different, it will show up sometimes when it's never showed up before.
All right, so I'm trying to find an example. You were telling a story
I'm
about...
looking for that page as we're talking. But
Devil's
here,
Fork.
let me see.
Yeah, the Devil's Fork, because...
I found one. Well, there is a Devil's Fork about on page 86, but I'm trying to find you. I have a better Devil's Fork, and I'm looking at private eye. I know where it is, but I can't. Oh, it's got to be before that.
Oh, I see.
Right. Oh, unless it's after that. We can talk as I'm looking for the devil's.
All right. Hey, I want to ask you about.
I have the devil's fork. Here it is.
Yeah, what page?
It's in the chapter Bad to the Bone, page 151. At the very bottom is the word living, and it's written by Ted Bundy. Do you see the word on 151?
Yes.
To the very bottom, the word living, on the L.
Oh, right, that little three-pronger thing there.
Jesus Christ, how the fuck does he do that without knowing?
What?
He doesn't know he's doing that?
Doesn't know he's doing it.
Come on.
It sometimes comes from other letters or words that connect weirdly. This is something he doesn't know he's doing. He doesn't know it's showing up. You have that also, I think, in the Green Valley Killer, and the BTK Killer has it also. They do not know they're doing
weird.
It. It's just because when you write, what you're really doing is putting brain prints from your head onto the page. In fact, Ted Bundy, when they interviewed him, they said, he said, well, he never admitted to the killing, but he did say, well, I think there was a devil inside of me, and maybe the devil did some bad things. And that the person who does this will never admit that they did it, because they actually feel that this devil inside them might have done something, but they didn't. And it will show up. It only, in my personal life, it only showed up one time. A woman who wrote me said she was dating a man, and should she continue dating him? And I looked at his handwriting, and he had the devil's fork in it. And I said, do not run away, get out of here. Don't even go near him. And she broke up with him, and it turns out he had a very long criminal history that she didn't know about.
Holy wow.
Jesus Christ.
So,
what do you know about E-Rock's fork? That's got to be real full, a lot of letters piled on top of each other.
Titanium fork.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, never mind.
That's an inside thing. Which is making people laugh. Michelle, I got to tell you, we got your book ahead of time, and I wasn't going to read this, but now looks great. Now
I'm going to read it.
Oh, shut up, David. I'm giving you I'm giving you a compliment. I mean, now I really want to read this.
This looks great.
Just seeing all these different forms of writing in here, from serial killers and such. It's wow, it looks really interesting. Sex, lies, and handwriting. On your website, you talk about Obama and McCain, don't you, and their handwriting?
I have all the presidential candidates and the other people who were running. I have all the people who were running for this election.
All right. First of all, are you a Democrat or a Republican?
Well, I won't tell you, but I can tell you stuff about the different candidates that can be quite interesting. I can tell you, do you want to hear something about John Edwards?
Yes. Sure.
This might give you a clue. When I first I did everybody's handwriting about a year or so ago when they were first running. And actually, at that time, I was pretty much an Edwards supporter, and I saw his handwriting. And do you remember I told you that if it goes to the right, you think emotionally. If it goes too much to the right, you're too emotional. And I talk about in the book something where if your letter D falls over way to the right, it means that you've forgotten logic and you go with your pure emotions. And when I did John Edwards' handwriting, his handwriting, first he has the very long lower loops, which means he enjoys sex. And but the rest of his handwriting goes so far to the right, but his D completely leans over to the right, which means that he thinks emotionally, leaves all he can forget about logic completely. And when I did his sample, I said to my editor, I said, why does John Edwards' handwriting go this way? I can't understand it. I like him so much. Why is this happening? Why is this going on? And of course, about 8 months later, it came out that he had that affair.
And he goes to the hotel
right
in the middle of this. That was so stupid to go there.
When you think about it, I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, very smart man. But emotionally, I mean, that's what that D shows. When it goes over all the way to the right, you have forgotten logic completely. And I talk about that in my book with some certain people. And so after that, I thought, well, I can't vote for him. Something's going on in his life. And right, to jeopardize your whole career for a little fling, that's not, that's a little bit off.
I'm just going to type everything from now on.
Kidding.
That way no one can...
I'm taking something called statement analysis now, so even when somebody types, I can tell from the words what they're really saying underneath.
Oh, well, I should hope so. That's what I hope when someone reads it. They can tell by the words what I'm trying to say.
But you're saying
it's called
you're
writing.
taking a course in reading.
It's called statement analysis, and what that means is that every single thing you say, it's the way you word things. Now, I'm not a big expert yet on that, but I am studying it. And it's hard if you're just listening. But if somebody writes something down, you can tell from how they worded something, example, where they're lying.
Michelle, we're experts as well.
Okay.
You are a Democrat who loved John Edwards.
Well, not anymore, but I did like him. I have to say that.
You gave that away pretty easily. Hey, Obama and McCain, what do you got on those two? Because now, obviously...
Obama, and I did this again like a year or so ago, it's just in his signature, in the O, he makes a sign that's called a phi sign, P-H-I. It's a Greek sign that means the perfect ratio, and that everything should be in this perfect ratio. And I saw that, and I wrote about it on my website. And so I really, when people called me and said, on the Democratic Convention, he was going to make the background a Greek form to make it look Greek. I said, that goes with his signature.
What does the phi sign look like?
A phi sign looks like a 0 with a line slash through it.
Sorry, we got a picture of E-Rock with a line through him.
Yeah, a 0 with a line, and it's a phi sign. When you see symbols in people's handwriting, sometimes you don't even know what they mean, and you have to go through your college journal or whatever. But people will put symbols in their handwriting that have some meaning personally to them.
But what does that mean with Obama?
I think it means that his basic core belief system is that everything should be in a certain proportion and a ratio. I think
socialism.
He probably studied Greek when he was in college. I bet he had an interest in it, and something about that Greek philosophy.
Then why is it a circle with a line through it?
Well, that's how they.
Should
that's
just be
how
a
they
circle.
make the phi sign.
Arrow pointing towards. Do you speak Greek?
A little Greek, I speak. Yasu di kanis. That means hello, how are you?
That's very interesting. I love the devil's pitchfork.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
The devil. Yeah, it's amazing.
And the McCain thing. I mean, we got to
John McCain, his handwriting, one thing about it, it is very scrunched up. And a lot of times,
like him.
when somebody has an illness. Now, I have his handwriting. The handwriting I have was from 4 years ago. And it's very scrunched. When people are physically ill, you can see it in their handwriting. At the time when he wrote this, he was ill or impending illness. And I think he had a lot of problems in the last 4 years. And you could see that right in his handwriting. Another interesting thing about McCain is you think McCain is a big family name, but he writes his first name John very large and his last name small. And what that means, if you write your last name small and your first name large, it means I want to make it as John. I do not want to have to. I'm going to not rely on being the McCain name. I want to make it on my own.
What does it mean though when they're ill? They're scrunched together, like the letters are.
Somebody has illness. There will be different signs depending on what illness they have. You can tell a tremendous amount about a person's health when you look at their handwriting.
Yeah, I got a jumble of scribble here, but apparently it's Robert Reed's autograph.
Okay, well, I don't know about that.
Well, of course not.
I mean, it's all scrunched together?
Yes, extremely. It's so scrunched together, it's just a line.
And he's got a lot of zeros with the slash through it.
On handwriting and illness and how it's related.
Yeah.
And I wrote something on my website about how you can predict it's a long story, but I'll make it short for you. How somebody had a tumor and how you saw it in his handwriting. And one of my
pudding
said that, and she saw her husband's handwriting. She said to him, I don't want to scare you, but I think you have a tumor on your kidney. And he got an MRI, and he did have it.
Well, just by the handwriting? It was tinkle on the paper.
Actually, he was a physician, and he did become very good friends of mine. And I went and we visited each other. They live in Texas, and we're watching his handwriting. Because as thing will disappear in his handwriting, we're watching to monitor his health.
Is it true that Olivia Newton-John's W's look like U's?
I don't know.
Oh my God,
that one I don't know.
Wow. Hey, what does it mean? What does it mean if you sign stuff with just if you just sign your last name? You'll hear laughter in the background for the next 10 minutes. By the way, I just want to acknowledge that. But if you just sign stuff just using your last name, what does that indicate?
And if you don't put your first name at all, most people put at least their initials. If you only do your last name, it means something like you're sort of taking ways of your personal thing. You're not trying to like really expose yourself. Just like sort of putting up an image.
Wow.
So that's what that shows.
Okay, and just for my personal interest, did you study Kurt Cobain's suicide letter?
I did have it, and I have looked at it. In fact, I haven't looked at it for quite a while now, but I do remember it, and it was a little. Most things that will show up in suicide letters, a lot of times the person's handwriting will go way downhill, meaning that the slope of the handwriting goes.
Oh yeah.
That means that they're feeling very, very depressed. And I would think, and his handwriting was very erratic, and it means very erratic thinking. So the one thing you want to look for if in somebody is if their handwriting starts to go way, way downhill. It means that they're like falling mentally downhill, or I think I remember he had that. Like I said, I haven't looked at it now for quite a while.
What if you have a droopy C?
A droopy C.
Yeah.
It means that you need a facelift. I don't know.
No, I was thinking droopy C.
I don't think it means that much.
And like my D always goes off to the left.
Your D goes to the left,
yeah,
not to the right?
A little bit, like sometimes.
What's that mean?
So
I don't know.
Your D actually slants more. That means that sometimes you're very emotional, except there are times where you quickly take back control.
Yeah, and what's the difference between a good and a bad N?
Well, there's no good or bad N's, but one thing you want to look in the N, like if you have a loop in your N, it means you worry too much.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I worry about my N's.
Well, don't worry so much.
All right. Thank you. I didn't know that. I'm glad you could solve those problems.
Some individual letters mean something how they're made, and others don't mean all that much. It's the general look of the writing also. But there are little things that every little thing you put on that page means something about you.
Wow. You know what? I find this a little odd. Whenever I'm writing on the front of an envelope, like an address, and not so much anymore, but I used to, if it wasn't lined paper, I would always kind of drop off to one side or something.
Oh, well, that's fine. Did it go, if it's not lined, do you mean that the handwriting went uphill or downhill, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it was like it would start out good, and then by the end of the address, like it would be dropping down, like going to a down sloping.
Like you're writing on a down angle.
Yeah, on a downhill.
Yeah,
I could never keep it straight online.
You don't want your handwriting going down. I always tell people not to write on lined paper because lined paper means that you need to follow rules and regulations. Ideally, your handwriting should go uphill a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, and that means you're a little more upbeat, positive. If your handwriting
I'm just
going
to turn the page a little bit.
There's something called handwriting therapy. When your handwriting goes downhill, it means you can see things in a negative light.
Yeah.
And
tell me about it.
We
no
do this
shit.
exercise where we make you write uphill.
Mm-hmm.
And that will actually turn a negative mood into a much positive state.
But realistically, all I have to do is really turn the page clockwise a little bit, and I'm fine, right?
Back to normal.
Well, no. Realistically, all you would have to do is when you write, instead of letting your hand drop down, is actually go, I'm going to make it level, or I'm going to go up, and force it up. And actually, as you do that, you will feel better and happier. And they've done studies with really successful people. And the thing that's
Uncle Paul
in common with them is almost always their handwriting goes slightly up.
All right, Michelle.
Who's that?
Hold on, Michelle.
I heard a voice.
Yeah, hold on. Michelle, who's the writer of Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. We got a bunch of really good questions coming in. We got Stephanie in Atlanta.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Hey, Michelle. Hey, so what does it mean when a woman writes in all caps?
Okay.
I rarely ever.
Now, there's a few things to consider. Does she write in all caps because it's part of her profession? For example, is she an architect or an engineer?
No, she's a woman.
Exactly. That's why Mr. Brady did it.
Come on. We're talking about recipes, right?
Recipe. If a woman writes in all caps,
so rude.
I always say to her, it does mean she's trying to avoid a little bit of things emotionally. And I say, think back of when you started, and you were probably going through something, a little emotional problem or trauma at that time. Think back of when you started to write in all capital letters. And that's probably an issue or a trauma that you need to work out in your life. So very few women do write in all caps. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. It's very interesting, though.
No way.
I mean, do you write in all caps?
I do, all the time. I never write any other way but in all caps.
Now, do you, when you learned in school, did you write cursive and then somewhere in your life turn into all caps, or did you write in all caps ever since a kid?
No, I wrote in cursive. I can't even remember when.
Stephanie, can I ask you a question? Because I'm kind of learning about this. Do you have big, thick periods?
No, Anthony,
all right.
I don't.
I'm just asking because I'm learning a lot about this.
But Stephanie, if I were you, think back of when you started, and if you were going through something in your life, but writing in all caps does mean that you will distance yourself a little bit emotionally and try to think, okay, better do it all logically because I can't get my emotions that involved in this. So think about that when you're when it started, what may have started.
All right, let's go to Kenny in Jersey. Kenny, you're on with Michelle.
Hi, Kenny.
Hi, I mix capital E's and lowercase e's.
You mean what do you mean? I mean, you have a capital E's, like if you write the word ever, it could be a small E, V, a big E, and an R. Is that what you're saying?
Like Kenneth.
In your name. Really, if you mix capitals where they don't belong, it can mean you're a little bit unpredictable. Here and there, it doesn't mean that much. But ideally, if your letters that should be lowercase turn into capitals in an erratic way, it can mean that sometimes you do things that are a little unpredictable, even sometimes to yourself. So ideally, you don't want to do that where they don't belong, but a little bit here and there doesn't mean all that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Likes to print the capital letters because he's unpredictable.
All right. I don't know who this person is. You're on with Michelle.
Good evening.
Are you there, sir?
I'm here.
Oh,
madam.
Madam, what's up?
Hi.
Hello?
Dan?
Hello.
Hi.
Dan.
Hello?
Yeah,
hi,
you.
Dan. You're up.
Go.
You're up.
Oh, hey. I'm sorry. I was wondering, my big P, the top of it it's a lot larger than the rest of it, like the long skinny part. I was wondering what that meant.
Oh, that's a very good question.
The very top part of the letter P is very rounded and big, and then you just have a little teeny line.
Yeah, only on my big P, though.
Okay, well,
oh, no.
Let's see what we can say what that means. Well, it just means you have a big P. It does mean sometimes you like to please others, and there's a big desire to please.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I write my V, the tip of it is real skinny and tighter than the top part of it. I was wondering, it's like a very big difference. It's almost like a sharp, wedge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in itself doesn't mean that much.
All right. Thank you.
Does it mean anything if every time you write a V, the scribble marks through it? I hope not.
All right. Let's say hi to David in Washington. We're wrapping up with Michelle here,
Hi,
but
David.
David has something.
Hello. Yeah, okay. Seriously, my handwriting is super neat. It looks like the letters were typed practically.
Okay.
I make my A's the way they would appear, my lowercase A's, like on a typewriter.
Ooh.
And sometimes I make my G's that way, too, with the little loopy deal. And when I'm handwriting, the paper, I turn it to where it's like I'm writing vertically.
Yeah, I've seen those weirdos in school.
Well, you know what that means? Your handwriting looks real perfect. Is that what you're telling me?
It is really
braggart.
close.
Means
to
you're a
perfect.
braggart.
No, you know what that means? When people tell me, oh, look, this person there have real perfect, neat handwriting, isn't that great? When you write so it's so perfect that it's unnatural, it means that you can't relax, and you're so afraid to show who you really are that you need so desperately to keep everything perfect and in place because you don't want anyone really to see what's inside, and it's very hard to be spontaneous. Because if you're spontaneous, people might go, oh, look, you did something wrong. So you're keeping everything in extreme order, so not to give anybody the impression that you have any flaws.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fear factor.
Yeah, but I write like really messy, and I can't relax. It's just the opposite. So,
well, it may be different. You may not put up like a front that I'm perfect.
Right.
Well, I
certainly don't.
No, he's garbage actually with a hat.
So that's different.
He knows that he has no problem with it.
Perfect. It means that they're trying so hard not to let anybody see any of their problems.
All right.
What if I write fine, but I have a messy colon?
Well, I guess you have to go to the doctor.
Hey, Michelle, I have a question.
Danny just threw away his paper.
You didn't write this alone. Who did you write this book with?
I wrote Sex, Lies, and Handwriting with someone named James Qualwasser, who's a very good editor and writer from...
Oh, okay. I thought James Qualwasser was a handwriting expert.
Yeah.
No, he's not a handwriting expert. He's an editor.
A ghostwriter. You didn't write
No.
much. Hey, John in Jersey has a very good question for you,
Okay,
Michelle.
John.
Yes, John, you're up.
Yes, I'd like to wonder why my D's go into my A.
What's that, John?
He wants to know why...
They go in my A.
Wait, I'm sorry. If you could please repeat what you said, that might help.
Yeah.
Yes, my D's go into my A when I write.
Oh yeah, that's the
D's go to the right?
They go into the A's.
Go into his A's.
Yeah, like if he has an A, the D goes right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so your letters are intersecting with each other? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. At least the D's and the A's, yeah.
Yes. Ideally, you don't want your letters intersecting like that. It's a little hard to know. Ideally, you want your letters separate. If it's your everyday letters other than signatures mean something a little different. But your letters intersecting mean that there are things that are getting kind of mixed up in your life. Ideally, you want to keep your letters not from intersecting and not from going overlapping.
Wait, what does it mean? I have a
like
question.
God said.
What does it mean if you're signing a J, right? What's it mean if you sign a J in cursive and the top of the J is really big and round, but the small part of the J, the lower part of the looping part of the J is very small and tight at the bottom?
Most people who write a very big J, a very rounded top part of a J, that usually shows responsibility.
And what is the lower part?
Have no lower loop. It means they're not too much into the sex part.
Responsible and no sex.
Right, responsibly.
What?
I know. Yes?
The people that mix cursive with print.
Cursive with print. If you do cursive with printing in a way that is efficient, it means you're exceptionally bright and creative. You'll find people who are musicians,
I do that all the time.
artists, speakers, who are creative and bright. They do this form of called print writing, where they actually combine printing and cursive, and you'll find that in very creative, bright people's handwriting.
I think I do that.
Oh, good! It's a very good sign.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
What about those dopey girls with the hearts over the eyes and stuff?
Yeah, what does that mean when bitches do that?
It means something different than if it's a boy who does it.
What does it mean?
Oh, what if a boy does it?
Usually people who do a little they're almost always teenagers.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's somebody obvious. It's like pretty obvious what it means. It's if it's a teenage girl, it means, hi, I feel romantic. Oh,
Can I go in your jacuzzi?
Yeah,
and it's got a heart over it.
Yeah. Somebody does that when they get older, though. It means that it can be kind of immature or a little too romantic. And
that
you
means
never,
I'm coming over to burn some clothes.
Yeah. All right.
I guess it all depends on the person doing it. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Your turn.
Well, it depends on their age, too.
Yeah.
How about their phone? Go ahead, you talk.
For somebody 15, and they're not appropriate for somebody older than that. Like,
right.
People sometimes do the circle eye dots too. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, you actually was a great call. It was very. Hey, where are you based out of, sweetie?
Where am I based out of? I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool. Well, it's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, when are you going to make it to the big time and get out of that hellhole?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying. If everybody out there buys Sex, Lies, and Handwriting, I could get out of Pittsburgh.
Oh, that would rock, right?
That would rock. Where are you going to move to?
Oh, I don't know. If I had my choice to move anywhere in the world, I think I'd go to some Caribbean. I might go to an island right now and just snorkel every day and take some time off and just relax for a little bit.
All wrinkly.
Well,
Snorkel every day. Yeesh.
Well,
all right.
Thank you for the
I
help.
might go up to New York City.
All right. Well,
there you go.
You were very nice.
Well, thank you. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. I got to say, at first, like Opie said, I saw this book and it didn't hold much interest. But now after talking to you, I really do want to read this.
Oh, great. Yeah, you know what? I tried to do it in a really fun way, so it's not real technical, but you do learn a lot. And I just wanted it to be a really fun book. So I think you'd enjoy Sex, Lies, and Handwriting, and I thank you so much.
The book held up.
Thank you, Michelle.
Book held up better than that bro book did. That's for sure.
No kidding.
Yeah, thank you. There she goes.
And I have a big P in me.
Michelle Dress Bold.
David's been chiming in a lot. I love it.
Yeah.
David's hysterical. He'll just, yeah.
What did he laugh at with E-Rock before?
I don't know.
Zero with the line to him or something?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll see you guys later.
He threw in a little E-Rock, a
later,
little crack at E-Rock, too.
What are you
Pretty good. Where you going, Reg? What are you doing? Your teeth?
Big goodbye. Scram.
Are you doing your teeth?
Yeah, I'm going to do my teeth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to, we're going to videotape you doing some of your comedy without teeth?
If I remember, yeah, I'll do some comedy without teeth.
Good.
All right.
Good luck.
Listen, I'll see you guys in.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Thanks for
All right.
Good
Have fun.
weekend.
Good luck, Voss.
Come back.
What is this guy? You're not allowed to talk to me.
David's hysterical. Good luck, Voss.
I know.
Why? David's right. David fucking is wishing Voss good luck. Right or
Thank
wrong?
you.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You wouldn't have good luck if it wasn't for my David.
We love David. David's a good boy.
David's a good egg.
The JJ is all right.
David is a fucking. David's a mensch.
All right. David, why don't you get up and leave?
Voss slamming the door.
Become an intern again.
All right.
Good job,
There he
David.
goes.
Good job today, David. Yeah.
You feel satisfied with your performance?
Definitely.
Were there any parts that you wished were better?
I don't know. Not today.
Yeah, you have that handwriting analysis. It was pretty good, huh? Spot on.
Yeah, she was perfect. She got it right on.
Very
Yep.
good.
Did they think you were slow when you were a kid?
They thought so.
Aww.
They thought so, yeah.
But they know you're not now, right?
They know. They know.
All right, David.
Filled our quota of certain jokes, which was good.
There's some good ones in there.
Our daily quota of horrific jokes.
Big sloppy period was great. All right, David. Okay, David.
Jesus.
Thank you.
All right, David.
Horrible. Just awful
There goes
people.
David.
It's just perfect
And it's
as a joke.
It's completely unnecessary.
Of course it is.
On a daily basis.
It's brutal for no reason.
Oh, God.
All right, here we go. Why don't we do line of the day and get the fuck out of here?
Let's
line
rock.
of the day is brought to you by WebEx.com. By the way, Voss is going to be, we got to give him the plug.
Yes.
Funny Bone, Virginia
Virginia
Beach. Voss, what's the plug?
On your way, tell Poe to grab my truck. Thanks.
Virginia Beach this weekend, but I forgot.
Right.
Next weekend up in Boston at Dick's Beantown Comedy Vault in Boston next weekend, Halloween weekend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Also
but
go
anyhow-
dressed as a dummy.
Oh, please.
Just kidding.
All right, thanks, you guys.
All right, the Virginia Beach. When are you going to be there?
I'll be there Wednesday through Sunday this week.
All right.
At
Funny
Virginia
Bone.
Beach, Funny Bone.
All right,
See you
great.
later.
All right, man.
Good luck, buddy.
WebEx.com. Hold meetings, make presentations, do it from the comfort of your own home or office. Check it out at WebEx.com. One of many runner-up lines of the day. Brother got MRSA from sharing tattoo ointment. Friend got MRSA from karate or had MRSA on my back. We take one more.
MRSA Poe.
That's hilarious.
Karate.
We talked about that today? That seems like yesterday, right?
No.
Another runner-up line of the day. Don't ever use chicklet on our show again.
I can't believe you haven't heard that.
I read the one about
Because we're cool.
ex-wives, The Secret Life of C's.
Another runner-up line of the day.
Is it weird? Like, this is weird. Somebody told me that I make, like, the letter I make huge, Like when I'm writing I, and somebody says because my penis is large.
I think that's the reason.
All right, goes right along with you, Jimmy.
Seems great.
David. You hear JJ? JJ.
He was just so thrilled with that joke.
Oh, David fucking
loved it.
Tickled him. Tickled him pink.
Yeah. Boy, she had a hot voice, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of people noticing the hot voice on that show.
Can we get a picture of her, Dan?
Well, she has a hot voice, Jimmy. Here's the runner-up line of the day. Another one.
She a fatty?
No. Is it true that Olivia Newton-John's W's look like U's?
I don't know.
Oh my God!
That one I don't know.
Wow. Hey, what does it mean? What does it mean if you sign stuff with just if you just sign your last name? You'll hear laughter in the background for the next 10 minutes. By the way, I just want to acknowledge that. But if you
Olivia's Newton's John.
I didn't even notice. W's or a U. God damn, does that work?
Line was so good it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
What are we? As soon as her name came up, I knew what the point of the joke would be. I'm like, well, how are we going to get there today? What barbaric route are we going to take to get there today? Jeez.
What are we doing now? One more runner-up.
It's like scrap porcelain.
Somebody's using them as pillows right now.
He tiles on the shuttle.
Yeah. See, that's the joke, Rich. What? He tiles on the shuttle, not pillows. Who would want to lie on a hard pillow like that?
I don't know.
I don't know. He's just defeated again.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know. I don't know.
God.
Here's your line of the day.
Ooh. Here comes line of the day.
Oh,
line of the day.
His own backup vocals.
What was your name?
Time Daily.
Time Daily.
Oh, damn.
I still laugh at that.
When the hell was that? Was that recent?
Must have been hilarious in jail.
Good point. Who are you a love interest for?
There's a little improv stand-up for you.
For ya.
I think line of the day, though, should have been you want to ask him a question? Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
That was strong.
Who are you?
LiveNation.com for Cheech and John.
Cheech and John.
I hope it doesn't.
Tour dates.
Chong is dead, so he's Cheech and John.
Hiya.
It was fun, man.
God, we had Jocktober. We have some great Jocktober stuff to get to tomorrow.
Yes.
Jimmy's book, I Hate Your Guts. We got one of the first few copies
today.
You
got the first ones.
The first one.
Yes, I had one copy sent to me at the end of last week, and then the first ones I got were you guys.
I'll have this read by Friday. Now, Jimmy, the one thing, they can pre-order on Amazon?
They can, yes.
Why is Aunt and I's thank you below the thank you for your mom, dad, sister, and nephew?
Because what happened was they tend to complain. Because originally I had you guys first, and I had them actually below Club Soda Kenny.
You had them below Club Soda Kenny?
No, they did that voluntarily. It was below.
Below,
Kenny likes sloppy party bottoms. So I told my family to get on their stomachs, open their butt cheeks up, and let old fucking John Kenneth in there with his rod. They knew better than argue.
John Kenneth.
And so I had to put them first. It was
very disappointed you started your thank yous with your mom and dad. Very disappointed.
Yeah, but it wasn't the way I wanted it to go down.
I'm just fucking.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Jim Norton, I Hate Your Guts. The book looks like it's going to be just as good, if not better, than Happy Endings.
Thank you.
And I liked Happy Endings a lot.
Definitely different.
A completely different direction. So
yeah.
I think you're going to have people talking about this book in the media.
I hope so, man. Bash a lot of people.
We do everything else we need to do. Oh, a Cheech and Chong ID. They did a pretty good job on, I heard. Oh, they're probably following the Superfly, I'm thinking. E-Rock brought in the ID, so there's got to be something here with this Cheech and Chong. Let me see what this is.
Hi, Roland.
Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to Anthony Open and one more. Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to
the Opie and Anthony Show.
So listen up.
But I can't tell those guys apart, can you?
One guy's... No, they're both white.
Okay.
It's good. A little racially insensitive.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that. See you tomorrow.